It works better. It works better. Thank you, Himang. Thank you, Struggle Bus. I was muted. Thank you so much. I. My voice should hopefully be voicing by now. Yeah, it works better if you take the little mic out of the box. I already have the receiver I plugged in. See, here it is, receiving. Can we get a focus on that? There we go. The receiver was plugged in just fine. Thank you. Thank you for that, Struggle Buzz. Yeah, it does work better if you plug it in. Hey, folks, welcome in. How are you doing? How's everybody doing? Happy Wednesday. It is, in fact, Wednesday. Um, I just realized now that also Spotify is not like Spotifying. Let me see here. Yeah, you should have gotten some background. Let me fix that. There we go. Is that working now? Hmm. Should you not be if I change that to something else and then change it back to Spotify here? Oh, weird. All right, I guess you get no background. Anyway, yeah, Mike works best when used. Thank you, Hamang. And as always, thanks for the good wishes. 60 of the way, percent of the way to Carnage Con. So excited, but also you're helping run it this weekend for the first time. So a little anxious as well. Hell yeah. I was actually just talking. So first of all, the reason I'm late today, and there's the things I was saying before I realized I was muted. So I'm a little late today because I had therapy. Folks, some men will create war games rather than go to therapy. I try and do both. I try and do both. So I went to therapy. I had my therapy session earlier today. Um, and it ended at 2 p.m. So I could have come from, I know from you, you know those men. Yeah, exactly. I could have come direct from therapy to the stream if I'd set everything up. But I was like, no, let me take 30 minutes between end of therapy and stream to kind of get ready before things. But as I was just telling my therapist, I need to go to cons. I desperately decompression time is good, especially after therapy, right? And I told my therapist, and he agrees. I need to go to cons. I need to get back to cons again. The problem is money, money, money. But also like I really do need to like go to cons. I wish so bad I could go to. Sorry, my cat is roaming around there. I'm trying to see if I can tempt her. Sweetheart, can I tempt you? Can I make you an offer? Can I make you an offer here? Come on, sweetheart. Oh my God, she's had her little. She's got like a little like her eyes bothering her a little bit. Oh, sweetheart, come here, come here, come here. Yeah. Kitty time is also good, very important. Yeah, there we go. Let me wipe up the little tears. Poor little girl. Poor little girl. Ah, she wants attention. Papa, Papa, please, please give me love. I wish I could. She is so good. She is so good at staying just out of camera angle. Like she has a skill. Her ability to just stay right out of the camera is absolutely amazing. I could pick you up. I could. I could, Papa. Papa, you haven't given me as much lap today as I deserve, and she's right. I haven't. Look, folks, folks. It's a black tuxedo cat feature. Yes, it is. It is. Oh my gosh, sweetheart, sweetheart. Oh my gosh, she's so lovey-dovey right now. Um, folks, so I had therapy. I need to go to cons. I need to go to cons. I need to because especially for what I'm trying to do, right? I need to get my face out there. It is a look at this face. Holy, I mean, once people see this face, oh my God, when people see that face, oh, oh no, wait. Can we get here we go? Can we get somehow? She is like applying her stuff. Here we go. There we go. If I have my hand over here, Nvidia kind of understands that she is part of me. She is part of me. And therefore she can be kept in focus. Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, she's looking for attention. Anyway, I want to go to cons in Western Colorado. I'd love to meet you in person. I mean, look, I'm down. My problem is potato. That I have no money right now. I mean, I have money, but I need it to live until I start. It's that that I was gonna say Star 69. That the catch 20 catch 21. Like I need money coming in order to be able to afford to go to cons, but going to cons would get my name out there and hopefully get me, maybe find some business, right? Like, look, get some nice business cards done, run some games, and at the end of the game go, hey, did you enjoy that? Would you like more of that? Boy, oh boy, I can make it happen for a price, you know. But also like money for travel and lodging. Like the costs themselves are usually the least costly part. It's like what, 40 bucks for a weekend, that sort of thing. It's getting there and back, and having a roof over my head that is, hundreds if not thousands of dollars, that I cannot afford. I'm giving serious consideration to going to my local New Jersey cons, and literally just schlepping it there and back. Not a short journey, let me assure you, but schlepping it there and back every day because fuck the trains. I mean, fuck the hotels. Not fuck the trains. More trains. Always more trains. Um, you know. Like if I had a car to travel with, maybe. Oh God, am I gonna have to buy a car at some point? That might be a thing. I might just have to. That's horrible. That's horrifying. Um, are the medical bills for getting shanked in Jersey worth it? That's the other thing. No health plan right now means getting shanked is extra sucky. So there are some restrictions, but I do want to start going to cons again. It really should be part of my rotation, part of what I do now. It's just hard. It's hard because money. Just that said, potato. Yes, I would love to. I would love to go to cons in Western. I would love to go to cons all over the goddamn country. Um, just nonstop. If I had a chance, I mean, maybe not nonstop. I would miss the fuck out of my cat, but like I would easily go to like one con a month. I could do that. I could do that no problem. In terms of capacity to do so, in terms of money to do so, perhaps somewhat less. Um, but yeah, I definitely want to go to cons. I definitely want to go to more cons. I don't know when I will get the chance, but hopefully sometime soon. So, folks, as you can tell, I'm still on my throne here, my little throne, rather than usually standing up. Those of you who have been here in previous episodes of the Dan Rambles cinematic universe may have known that I managed to injure my heel. I fucked up my foot on Sunday. Sunday. You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. And apparently, by sitting on the edge, I fucked up my heel somehow. I don't know. Monday sucked. My heel was in a lot of pain. Yesterday still kind of sucked, but a lot less. Today I'm almost back to normal. It's still a little sore. Oh yeah, I can bend it a little bit. And I can like there it starts to hurt.
Bless you all.
Hey, um, but despite that, I've mostly healed by now. But just to let it heal, I'm staying off the foot for as much as possible today. But I'm doing a lot less hobbling, so I'm basically, I think by tomorrow I should be back to normal. Uh, it sucks that injuring yourself leaves you fucked up for like an entire fucking week. I don't even know how I injured myself. I just went for a walk like I normally do. I normally walk like 10,000 steps a day, so it's not like, oh, I never walk. This is the first time I walked in a month. Something like I'm active. I'm fairly active. I have to be because I'm getting older. So I don't know what I pulled, how I pulled it. I'm not about to investigate, especially feet. Anything like that can mess up your knee, hips, back. Exactly. And it sucks. And also, like, I look, the one good thing I do love. Look, I am a proponent of the whole 15-minute city thing. I live very much a 15-minute city area. I can walk within 15 minutes walking. I have absolutely everything I need for my day-to-day life and then some. Like everything, like I don't, I'm not missing a single goddamn thing. And anything beyond that, there's public transportation. So there are some good parts about living in New York City. The taxes are wild, but I'm paying taxes for these conveniences, right? However, as somebody who lives on a third floor walk up apartment, all that 15-minute city walking around and going up and down stairs and everything, um, a lot less fun when you can't walk long distances without pain. So I'm glad that I'm mostly almost healed because I also need to go out and buy milk. And look, I guess I could ask the housemate, but like right now, like if I need to go out and do something, it fucking sucks. So that's annoying. I wish I knew what I did to injure myself, and it's extra annoying that it takes this long to heal from whatever that was. So anyway, that's why I'm still on my throne today. Hopefully for tomorrow's stream, you might see me dancing around like I usually do. But until then, folks, we started late because I was talking to my therapist, as one does, about going to cons and just stuff in general. He gave me some very encouraging words, and look, folks, I'm going to talk to you a little bit here. Talk to you a little before we get to talking about Curseborne. Here's my problem. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. And the thing is, I am an awkward fellow after all. I look. You might see me on these streams. And you might think I am, and you might even see me at a con. You might hear me on a podcast and think, there is a confident man. There is a man who walks with his head high, who knows what he wants and reaches out to take it, who surely has no issues around people. Look at that. Look at the Riz. It fairly drips off of him. We're okay, Struggle Buzz. That's hurtful. That's hurtful, but true. But true. Like, look, we're all awkward fellows, right? And the thing is, you need to be able to talk to people. You need to be able to make contacts and talk to people and get to know people. Um, and especially if I'm trying to do the thing that I am doing, it helps, right? You need contacts. It's who you know. Um, the mortifying ordeal of being known, is horrifying. I fear it. And when people do reach out to me, I hiss and recoil. Um, and also there's the whole thing like, well, if I reach out to anybody, they're just gonna go like, well, yeah, sure, right, now you're interested, now you're reaching out because you want something from me. I'm like, yeah, I do. um but also it's not that I don't like you, it's just I'm shy. I am a shy boy, and I need to get over myself. I need to get the fuck over that. And it's weird. I don't actually mind it. Once I'm in a group, I'm fine. I just I'm not good at first contact. I'm not good at first contact, and I have a hard, crunchy shell that I occasionally peek out of. So I got shit I gotta work on, folks. I got shit I gotta work on. That's why I go to therapy and make war games. Hey, but this one's not one I made. This one's called Curseborne. Yes, you are. Yeah, exactly. So first of all, I don't know why it still keeps doing that. Why it still yells curse you all every time I switch to this scene, but I did at least make it so when I hit the button, curse you all. See, it does it automatically and even hides it automatically. There we go. So just one press gets you the whole thing. It's the whole thing, the whole deal. But yesterday and today, we're trying to get. Look, it's today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's Halloween. Tomorrow's Halloween. Just have it curse the machine spirits each day they get involved, and it's fine. Okay, the machine spirits. No, I'm not cursing the machine spirits. Look, I have good equipment. Knock, 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 knock on equipment. None of you fuckers are allowed to die on me for a good long while. You hear me? None of you fuckers are allowed to die on me. I'm talking to every single you. I have so many screens, so many computers around me, so much equipment, technology, microphones. I see you. Don't you fucking dare quit on me. iPad, you're like 6 years old. You're like 6 years old, and I keep you plugged in all the time. And I need you to keep chugging along, motherfucker. All right? None of you machine spirits are allowed to even remotely act up. I will format you. I will format you, motherfucker. All right? I do not have the budget for any of you fuckers to start acting up right now. So if you want me to curse it, I'm cursing the hell out of the machine spirits. Do not trust any of them. They are not allowed to act up. Not allowed to act up because I don't have the budget to get any of these fuckers fixed right now. Let us see. We are looking at Curseborne. We looked at the origins and how some sample origins. So today we're hopefully looking at some actual rules, right? Because this is okay. We've looked at the lineages. We've looked at a whole bunch of setting stuff. Where the damnations come from. We got some mechanics and ideas on how your family relations are, which we dig. Yeah, I think this is around where we kind of go. And I want to get to the point where they actually start talking about systems, because we need to finish between today and tomorrow, right? So let's see. Yeah, so things, ways to join your crew, how to put your crew together. We saw all that yesterday. We saw how to motivate your crew, different styles of crews, social crews, task crews, accursed existence. Okay, so let's see what we got here. The works. Okay, so yeah, we started looking at this. The works, which is basically like what you do to get by as an accursed, which I kind of dig that there's a term for it. It's pretty cool, actually. Let's see here. So actually, let's pick up here, because I think this is kind of where we left off. We saw territory. No, yeah, we saw this territorial disputes. So there's a lot of talk about territories, territorial disputes. Again, that's all plot material. We got City of Secrets. Oh, right. City of Secrets. Here we go. So this is what we wanted to look at. This is where we left off. City of Secrets. So we've got story ideas. These are story seeds. Did we keep? Oh yeah, no, we kept going. Temptations. The guard. Okay, this is where we actually left off. Okay. This is where we actually left off. So these are temptations. These are places in the outside, basically weird, strange places, which I am 100% here for. While I appreciate that a lot of the game takes place in this world, and that a lot of the game is politics between families and territory disputes and all that. Cool, big fan in general. But, folks, where my heart lies, where my heart truly lies, is in the weird shit, the world beyond, the stuff in the outside, the outcasts, the temptations, the supernatural shit. Give me that. That is where the tasty stuff is. That's where the juice lives, at least for my particular flavor of nerd. So let's look at some of them. We saw the Garden of Unearthly Delights yesterday. We did not. Yeah, we saw the Endless Jaunt, which is basically like a training montage turned into an area. Let's see, and now we visit the Possibility Library as a third temptation before we get to the Torments. So flavors of temptation. Let's see. So we got the Possibility Library. Sorcerers, Gaki, Raptors, and other similarly knowledge-enthused lineages and families find this segment of the outside a true catnip. An outside that offers vast catalogs of forbidden lore and texts of ancient origin is appealing to anyone seeking to enhance their power. The inhabitants, mostly imps of a peculiar intelligence, but still prone to tricks, are content to make exchanges of information and memory in trade for one of the book's scrolls or tablets in their stores. The temptation to visit such a realm is huge. Who wouldn't give up a fraction of their childhood for a hard drive filled with secrets? The only cost beyond it is that visitors aren't allowed to leave with anything physical from the realm. They must read it there on one of the many desks or monitors. Any attempt to do so results in imps swarming the thief and making the physical information a part of the visitor, merging them with a memory board, tattooing information on their skin, or simply ramming a book down their throat. I feel like maybe I did read this yesterday, but it's still cool and wild that is how the imps deal with thieves. The addictive qualities of such a space are vast. Sorcerers are particularly vulnerable. They might give up the memory of their first girlfriend in exchange for knowledge of 5 other outside realms. That's like a 1 to 25 ratio in terms of exchange rate. So after that information is obtained, how about giving up those useless geography lessons learned at school in exchange for advanced spell lore, or memory of their parents' last moments as trade for whereabouts of the nearest interstitial zones, and so on, and so on, and so on, until the visitor has forgotten who they were before arriving. Again, I love that. I love me a good tempting library. That's my temptation right there. Now we go to the torments. Now I'm guessing, I'm gonna go ahead and take a wild guess based on the name, that torments are a little bit more spooky than the temptations. Let's see what they bring. One of the first things any responsible family mentor tells a new family member is, life down here may come with its share of struggles, but life out there promises nothing but torment. There's good and bad to be found in any place. Some sections of the outside are considerably worse than others. There's still reason to visit it so long as the accursed knows where the pitfalls are and which entities to trust. The truth can prove confusing, however, especially when the outside itself revolts against those who intrude upon it. Tormented outside realms are less safe than the realms regarded as temptations, but the rewards can be massive if the torments are survived. Let's look at the first one, the shifting prison. Okay, so this is The Cube, I'm guessing. This is the movie, The Cube, starring Jennifer Lopez? Right? Was Jennifer Lopez in The Cube? Am I thinking of the right movie? Maybe. Don't know. Each room in the shifting prison contains a fresh hell. Each one grinds and shifts along an axis every so often, soon taking any inmates. It would be incorrect to call anyone in this realm a visitor after they've been present for more than a few minutes, far from the port or liminality through which they enter this distant, remote section of the outside. Inmates need to survive the torments thrown at them before they can stand a chance at leaving, making a fleeting visit a horrific process. Folks, I have a passing connection to the world at large and causality as a whole, by which I mean memories are not my forte. But this feels real familiar. Have I read this before? Did I kind of cover this? Is this same material? I don't know why these feel really familiar. I feel like maybe these were covered earlier in the. Except I don't recognize the Clockwork City or the Throne. I do feel like I've read this before. Weird deja vu. Yeah, this whole thing about the Furies, like I feel like I read it. Yeah, the whole yeah, woman claiming to be one of the first of Ferrari, claimed to one of the walls of the space. Hungry get close enough to feed her, only to find the so-called family head absorbing the helpful vampire soul in one big swallow. So like yeah, this I remember reading, but then these two I don't. So let's see. All right, let's check the other ones. Wow, that's weird. I swear I've read the Shifting Prison before. Maybe I think one of the first ones had some mention of like stuff in the outside, so maybe they're reusing that. All right, well, let's check out the throne, shall we? A bizarre place on the outside, not nearly as expansive as most, I would have said. This metallic room contains a ring of black water, at the center of which sits a raised platform holding a chair. This throne was clearly not built for the comfort of humans, due to its strangely contorted back, the thin bladed tendril arms, and a frankly phallic, U-bended device protruding from the chair's base, arcing back to face the seated individual. The throne's purpose isn't obvious, but there's only one thing a visitor can do here, and that's sit in the chair. Doing so immediately subjects them to a barrage of interrogations broadcast into their mind from elsewhere. An eye on the end of the U-shaped device scans the speaker's expressions, and some say their psyche as they talk. Any lie results in a spiritual assault that wears away the seated victim's soul like sandpaper. If a subject can withstand the bombardment and give the throne all their secrets, they in turn gain insight into their future and the futures of those to whom they're bonded. Some even claim the throne gifts its users the ability to cast spells typically limited to other lineages, making its users pseudo-sorcerers for a time. It's not so easy as just speaking the truth, however. The throne scours its user. It cleanses them. Eventually, they become a blank slate, subject to the outside. I dig that. Do not recognize that from elsewhere. So first time I'm reading this, but also I dig the concept of it. I mean, again, it's a very much like this here points out that apparently sorcerers are specifically the ones that can learn stuff from other lineages. More reason for me to want to play a sorcerer. You saw how excited I was for the idea of playing a blue mage. So I like that. But also, yeah, I like this concept. I like this concept a lot. The next one is the Clockwork City, which is one that we're going to read all about. And it looks very sorcery focused right after these ads, folks. It's that time again. Be right back. And with ads hopefully done, we have returned to check out the Clockwork City, another torment place in the outside of Curseborne. Yar. The Clockwork City. Sorcery is a tricky bastard. You think you've mastered it, and then it turns around to destroy everything you hold dear. This outside realm is a construct. A sorcerer family built it. These sorcerers were said to be masters of time, the seasons, age, and fate. But, like their spells, their name has been lost to the time they used to manipulate. The only thing left of them is the city of crunching gears, folding space, and perception alteration. For all intents and purposes, this Clockwork City might have been abandoned yesterday. As in the story of Mary Celeste, beds have just been slept in and left unmade. Food has gone uneaten but hasn't rotted away, and computers are open, unlocked, ready for use. It's as if the sorcerers who made this place just wound the clock a little too fast and blinked out of existence. The entire sorcerer lineage considers this realm cursed beyond the usual measure. If you visit, you bring its curse back with you and, at minimum, rapidly age the people and places around you until your core clock stabilizes. By then, the disaster in your wake will have been grim. But there are secrets to find in this outside, and for that reason, a cursed attempt to explore the Clockwork City. It always ends poorly and faster than they'd expect. Ooh, I like that one. A Rip Van Winkle kind of vibe to it. Big fan of that. All right. Hey, finally, system. Hell yeah. Let's look at game rules. All right, but look, we've been bombarded for this past month with setting. Mechanics, in my opinion, it's more likely than you think, Struggle Bus. It's more likely than you think. I for one, I have learned so much about the setting and the people and the different supernatural beings in this game. Now I would like to know mechanically how we do these things in our games. Mechanics are fun. We love mechanics. Mechanics are for us to learn, to know. Because exactly. So let's look at the story path system. This is story path ultra, the latest and greatest version. They don't it doesn't say story path ultra here, but it is story path ultra, I believe is what they call it. It's like just the latest, greatest, most ultimate version of the story path system, which is most definitely an evolution of what the old sort of World of Darkness storyteller and eventually I think story guide. It's always story something. But before it was like the storyteller system, and now it's the story path system. So let's see what that looks like in Curseborne. The story path ultra, there it is, system enables action-heavy, story-centered games, helping to create a sense of horror while enabling procedural investigation and social intrigue. The system encourages multiple strategies and approaches for achieving goals. It's meant to facilitate quick gameplay through cinematic pacing, dramatic editing, and intuitive mechanics. If you take nothing else from this chapter, heed this. Keep the story moving and the pace high. I like the core conceit, the core philosophy, definitely, because if there's one complaint I have about World of Darkness, especially when it came to combat, is that as soon as the rules got involved, shit slowed down so considerably, especially with old World of Darkness combat. So let's see how this handles this. All right. Let's see. The three areas of action: adventure, investigation, and influence, work together and strengthen one another, which adds layers to the world and game, while also providing natural changes in pace without compromising the plot. Each system considers multiple approaches, and players are encouraged to navigate through them according to their character's strengths. Influence describes how to manipulate other characters, but also discusses how to build mutual bonds such as friendship, and gives benefits and drawbacks for each. Good mechanics. Curseborne is designed to enable action-oriented gameplay in which each action drives the story forward through a combination of partial success mechanics and failure driving the story forward rather than ending it. All right, let's see if they deliver. How and when to roll dice. Following sidebar should be laid out in the core mechanic. Okay, the core mechanic. Here's quick, and I think that this one is pretty easy to understand. Roll a dice pool of d10s, usually equal to a character's skill plus attribute. Count all dice showing an 8 or above as a hit. 10s counts 2 hits. Okay, so I kind of like that. It simplifies it. You still got the 10s. The 10s are still good. So these days I've been playing a World of Darkness game. An old World of Darkness game where 10s are re-rolls, so you take a 10 and there's a chance that you might get more. And occasionally you get like multiple 10s exploding, and it is a dope feeling, but it is a chance of a re-roll. But then again, the difficulty on most rolls in World of Darkness is 6 rather than 8, so it can lead to at least you're more likely to get an extra success than not. But also you had and I think one of the big problems with the old World of Darkness was the ones taking away and leading to botches, which made it, if you actually looked at the math, made it so the bigger your dice pool, you were actually more likely to botch because of the chances of getting those ones and botching, which was kind of funny, but I don't think was the intended thing. So I don't see anything about botches here. Or ones taking away, which is great. But I do like the simplification. 10s are just 2 hits. Cool. No further explosion, but 10s are good. Now, if any dice show hits, then you add enhance. Okay, so if any dice show hits, add enhancements as additional hits. Interesting. So enhancements don't apply unless you got a hit in the first place. You got 0 hits, your enhancements don't apply, which I'm assuming is just a failure, a straight up failure. Spend hits to overcome the difficulty of the action as set by the story guide, buy off complications, which are additional problems around the task, or purchase tricks, additional benefits around the task. I do like that. because sometimes, a lot of the time, you would roll in World of Darkness, and you would get, and I see this all the time happen in some parts, like, okay, roll whatever, and I go, that's 6 successes, and it's like, oh, cool. I'm gonna give you the same information that you would have gotten if you'd gotten a single success, because there's really nothing there for more, right? But here, this lets you kind of spend hits, spend successes, spend your hits. And also, you can, there's a difficulty, there's complications, purchasing tricks. So you get they every hit is a tangible thing that you can do something with, rather than just a number in a range. I do like that. The core assumption in Curseborne is that your characters are competent at basic tasks. The only reason to pick up the dice and roll is when the result of their action carries uncertainty, and failure might push a story in a new or different direction. If that's the case, the process is simple. And yeah, so step one. All right, now we go into detail. So step one, roll dice. Curseborne requires the use of multiple 10-sided dice, sometimes called D10, or simply dice. The player rolls their dice pool, which is the number of dice ranging from 1 to 10, that determines the intended action's success or failure. Players roll dice against the difficulty and must accrue hits equal to or greater than the difficulty for their character to accomplish the action. Each die that meets or exceeds the target number, usually 8, is considered a hit, like hitting a target. Any die showing 10 is considered a double hit, which means the die counts as 2 hits instead of just 1. Sometimes a power or special ability will mention double 9s, which means that both 9s and 10s on the die generate double hits. That's kind of dope. For example, you roll dice for your pool and roll a 1, 5, 8, and 10. That means you achieve 3 hits, right? The 8 and then 2 hits from the 10. Cool, solid. Step 2, add enhancement. When rolling for actions, players have access to a special mechanic called Enhancement, which is rated +1 to +3 and represents additional hits used in the same way as hits from rolling dice. Enhancement comes from equipment, special abilities, spells, or unique circumstances. If the result of the die roll comes up with at least 1 die at the target number or above, the player applies their enhancement to the roll as additional hits. Example, if you have 1 enhancement that adds a hit for a total of 4 hits, for this roll where we got 3 hits. Enhancement is not universal, meaning that if a character has enhancement for one action, he won't necessarily have it on another. All enhancement lists what kind of actions it can be applied to when the character gains access to it. If a character has multiple appropriate types of enhancement that would apply to the same action, use the highest rated enhancement. Okay, so they don't stack. Use the highest rated enhancement bonus only, unless otherwise noted as being enhancement that stacks. Okay, so by default, it doesn't stack except when it does. That is every single tabletop RPG rule in a nutshell. When this happens, this other thing happens, except when it doesn't. Except when something else happens. Every goddamn time. Let's see here. The maximum enhancement of any single source can grant is +3, and enhancement from multiple sources cannot exceed +5, regardless of the individual ratings. Okay, good to know. In some rare cases, an ability will award hits that apply before the roll, creating greater opportunity for success. This is not the same as enhancement, but rather they act as if you had rolled those hits on the dice, and thus they do count towards activating enhancement. Okay, yeah, because I think we saw that on a couple of powers where they specifically said that you would get hits that apply before the roll. Okay, so there is, good to know. So it reminds me a little bit of kind of like with the botches before, where it was like, okay, once take away, but so long as you got at least a single success before counting the ones, it's not a botch. It's still a fail, but it's not a botch. So in this case, it's a little in the other direction. So long as you got at least, or unless you got at least one success on the roll, one hit on the roll, the rest doesn't matter. Basically, it's kind of like that. So, okay, cool. I don't mind that. I mean, I actually, that's actually, yeah, it is weird. Because it is kind of like saying like. Well, no, the enhancements. Okay. I'm kind of just arguing with my head and myself in my head. So let's take a step back. you've got your stat plus skill, so that's the core thing, and then on top of that you have enhancements. So you have to roll, and you first have to kind of at least get one hit with your core like stat and skill, showing that you are successful in doing the thing before your enhancements work, before you can call on your enhancements, which is good in the sense that otherwise enhancements are kind of auto successes like willpower, like spending willpower would have been for in some World of Darkness editions, where like you spend the willpower, like I think earlier editions had that. You spend the willpower and that's it. You start with one success. You start with one hit. Versus later editions where they made it where a willpower gave you 3 extra dice to roll rather than a guaranteed success. So in this case, well, there's no. I'm not seeing a willpower mechanic. We'll see if there's anything like that. There is enhancements, right? This +3, +5 max, etc. But enhancements are not like willpower. They only apply if you got the success in the first place. So in that sense, the mechanics are a little bit more like the botch ones, but in the other direction. Interesting. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Let's see here. So determine success. Difficulty is set by the story guide or a dice roll and implies how difficult a task is to achieve. If the player nets hits equal to, okay, this is standard difficulty stuff. The difficulty faction was 3 and there were no complications. Your 4 hits are more. Okay, so difficulty, this is going to take a little bit of of uh, uh, reworking my brain because I'm so used to thinking of the difficulty as the target number. Like, oh, what am I rolling? Oh, you're rolling, strength plus brawl. Cool. What's my difficulty? Oh, difficulty 6, difficulty 8. That's not this. That's very much not this. Difficulty is set by story guide or a dice roll and implies how difficult a task is to achieve. If a player nets hits equal to or greater than the difficulty, the character succeeds in the actions. This is considered a success and the number of hits equal to the difficulty are removed. For example, if the difficulty of the action was 3 and there are no complications, your 4 hits are more than enough to succeed, leaving 1 hit left over. So difficulty in this case is more of like what I would have thought as a threshold, which I think I've seen in some previous World of Darkness editions, where basically there is a success threshold and you need to get at least this. Normally 1 success is all you need, but if something has a success threshold, then you need to meet at least that many successes in order to succeed. So difficulty is that. I'm assuming by default most things are going to be difficulty 1, but good to know. Let's see here. Static difficulty is a number set by the story guide and does not change between actions. Opposed difficulty is set by an opposing character, often when both characters are attempting to act at the same time. For opposed difficulty, both players roll for the character's actions and each hit generated, as well as appropriate enhancement, becomes the difficulty for the other person. Because both players are rolling, they simply compare hits, and whoever has the most wins. The winner subtracts the loser's hits from her own and can then use leftover hits as normal in step 5. Oh, here we go. So level difficulty, challenge example. Okay, cool. So we got a quick set of sample difficulties. Appreciate that. So 0 routine, attacking something immobile, crossing with a friend, opening and unlocked doors. So that's something that you wouldn't roll for, right? If it's difficulty 7, then you don't need any successes. You don't need to roll for that. Just routine, walking across the room. So a difficulty 1 is a straightforward. So this is the kind of stuff that you would normally like. Yeah, all this stuff would require a roll. Sneaking into a building, opening a locked door, scaling a wall. Moderate is now more complicated, climbing a cliff, picking a pocket, hacking into a protected opera computer system. Okay, so you're not adjusting what would have been in old school the difficulty. You're always still rolling to beat 8. You're just requiring more successes, more hits. But other than that, it's familiar enough. Challenging, pushing a boulder uphill, jumping across a white chasm, hiding your tracks in snow. For extreme, shooting someone in a dust storm, climbing a sheer cliff face, weathering a hurricane, or near impossible, convincing an enemy to help, lifting them from a car, shooting this. This is fine. If anything, this is a more understandable way, because if you keep the target number always at 8, then it's a little easier to get a feel once you've rolled for how many successes something gets, and therefore a little bit easier to get a feel for what's a proper difficulty. Because the changing the difficulty on the target number creates a probability curve that really varies a little bit wildly. I think people don't quite comprehend what those probabilities actually look like at certain levels of difficulty. And this kind of keeps it more, I feel like it keeps it a little bit more linear, which is good. It's solid because again, it's easier to get a feel for, I think. Uh, Difficulty 0. You may be wondering when there's a difficulty 0 option. Sometimes it makes sense to roll the dice when the action should be simple enough to do without a roll, but taking that action might provoke consequences by buying a trick or failing to buy off a complication. Normally, such an action would still require a difficulty 1 to succeed, but Story Guide may wish to ensure that there's no chance of failure on the action and declare the difficulty as 0 instead. As such, all hits can be spent towards buying off the complication or purchasing tricks. Okay, cool. Step 4, optional. Consider complications. Some actions come with complications, which create unintended consequences of succeeding on the action. If the player wants to avoid whatever the consequence of her character's action is, turning the result into an extraordinary success, then she must spend a requisite number of hits for the type of complications. Complications are a yes, but, a drawback that might inflict injuries, cause new problems, or increase the difficulty for future challenges. Example, if the roll had minor complication +1, you could use a remaining hit to buy it off. Right. Complications are rated as minor, moderate, or major. Certain abilities may apply complications to an action. So this feels a little bit like my own system, which, it's not that original either, but there are like the discords, minor, major, and moderate or major discords. Basically, discords are rated 1, 2, 3 as well, just as aptitudes are kind of like enhancements rated 1, 2, 3 as well. So I feel some connection here. Again, this is very common game design. I mean, nothing too crazy so far, and I'm not expecting anything too crazy. What I'm curious about are the Curseborne specific mechanics, because I have a pretty good feel for Story Path Basic at its base level, I think. Let's see. Certain abilities may apply complications to an action that doesn't normally have one. Similarly, some actions may come with multiple complications due to an ability adding to an action that already had one applied. The following are sample complications that could arise from various actions. The character could suffer damage, the character could become exhausted, the character suffers a social setback or embarrassment, the character suffers a movement penalty or physical setback, an antagonist is alerted to the acting character's whereabouts, or a new antagonist arrives at the scene. Using difficulty complications. Well, difficulty complications are tools that a story guide can use to make a situation more dangerous. When considering whether an action's difficulty should be and what complication, if any, should apply, think about if the action is hard to accomplish, then increase the difficulty, or if the action is risky to pull off, add a complication. An action that's hard to do might also be risky, but often risky actions introduce a new setting elements and drive the story forward. However, be careful about pairing high difficulty actions with high complications, as the higher the difficulty is on an action, the less likely the complication is to come into play. Remember, if the player fails to succeed in the action at all, the complication does not occur unless they choose to turn it into a disaster, which I guess we'll find out shortly. So, I don't mind this. I don't mind this. I'm not wowed because it is, I guess you'd have to see in practice how it was, but it does feel a little unwieldy in that I'm managing my difficulty and I'm thinking of complications. I mean, I'm guessing not every roll has to have these, of course. And I guess it is a good thing to have, like, yeah, because they're different things. They're different things. Like, one is a no, and one is a yes, but. It's not bad. It's a lot to keep track of, I think. And I hope we'll see now, right, as we go. I think we're probably going to get some good examples, but I'm curious. I'm curious to see what those examples are, because I feel like a story guide will probably need some examples to get a better feel for what that looks like with assigning difficulties and assigning complications as needed. So level complication example, minor complications, something like tripping an alarm, causing somebody to fall for you. Moderate complications, creating a damaging area effect or breaking an item. And a major complication could be angering a dangerous enemy or ruining your reputation. All right, step 5 on rolling, spend extra hits. So stuff like this is why when I was going through my game a few Fridays ago, and I was kind of walking through the system and the various steps and stuff, I was like, yeah, this sounds really complicated, but go back and look at the basic resolution mechanic for almost any other game, and they're all like this. Um, like the base conceit, the base system can still be where is it? Yeah, here it is. It's this, like that's it. This can kind of like, it's in a nutshell. But then this expands to all of this as you get into details, explain reasonings, etc., etc. See, so that's why I feel a little bit better about my own system. Let me see. Catching up here, a good example I saw was you're trying to jump a fence with razor wire. You have one difficulty and one complication: rip your pants and lose your wallet, but you still make it over. Yeah, no. I get it, and I do like that example. Like I said, I like that it is separate because right, these are two separate things. One is, do you succeed or not? And that's the difficulty, and it's just hard to do. Period. Forget about doing it well or doing it pretty, but just do it. That's how hard it is. And then complications, like how hard is it to do it pretty cleanly, kind of. It's like, all right, you got over the, exactly, that's a good example. It is just like, I think once you kind of get into it, it's probably going to be, but it is a different, I think it is a different sort of mindset that you have to get into as a story guide, to think about these things. And it might be a little tricky, like when do you need them, when do you not need them. So I'm curious to see how much guidance we'll get, maybe in the story guide section, which I plan to kind of, skip over a lot, unfortunately, but we'll be on the lookout for any guidance that it gives on that to see what that looks like. So I'm real curious. Let me hydrate real quick. All right, spend extra hits. After removing enough hits to cover the difficulty, the player may choose to spend extra hits to buy off complications and or purchase tricks, which allow the character to do more with her action than originally intended, such as take an extra action or gain a benefit. All actions have a set of general tricks a player can choose to apply to her action, and players may also have access to specialized tricks. Ooh, I like this. A player can purchase as many tricks on an action as she has hits to spend, though each trick can only be purchased once per action unless stated otherwise. For example, this roll has no complications. As such, after subtracting the 3 hits to pay for your difficulty of 3, the remaining hit can be used to purchase a 1-hit trick. Tricks have either a fixed or variable cost, and the cost of the trick will be listed next to the trick's name. In general, tricks cost between 1 to 3 hits to purchase. Okay, I see the same general pattern here, right? Tricks costing 1 hit are small benefits in addition to the original action. This may help a subsequent action or create a small modification to a scene based on the action. The player can introduce any fact about the scene, create a small opening for herself or others, or enhance her action's effectiveness with a 1-cost trick. I'm going to read the others in a second, but this is already feeling a little bit like major and minor effects from Numenera, except it's based on a currency rather than on a good. I mean, it's still a good dice roll, right? You need to have rolled well to get enough tricks to spend for stuff. But yeah, it's still like major and minor effects, which I dig. It's one of my favorite things from Numenera. Tricks costing 2 hits add an additional full action to the character's initial action. The player may apply the same effect of her action to another target, create a whole new effect, provide a larger bonus to a subsequent action, or define a truth about the scene that creates a major advantage to herself or others. And tricks costing 3 hits are extraordinary. These make the character's action defy what would normally be possible. The player may choose to end a fight early, create a truth that completely alters the scene, or removes someone from the scene in one action. Cool. All right, so general tricks. These are following are general tricks that players can apply to any action. So 2 hits to do an assist. You may extend your successful action to a single ally, allowing them to overcome the difficulty of the same action without any additional hits. Cool. I like that. I do so well that it helps the others. Bolster, 1 through 3 hits. Add a number of momentum to the pool equal to the number of hits spent on this trick. Cool. I actually kind of dig that. That's an option. In any good roll, if you don't know what else to do, you can turn extra hits into momentum for the group. I like that. I really like that, actually. Complicate, 1 to 3 hits. Create a complication for the target of your action. I like that too. 1 hit creates a minor complication, 2 hits create a moderate, and 3 hits create a major complication. Failure to buy off a complication results in your character gaining an advantage over the target, such as dealing damage, knocking them prone, garnering a piece of personal information about them, or uncovering a secret. Nice. And then Shockwave, 2 hits. You may apply the effect of your action onto another target, so trample basically. If the difficulty to apply that action to your new target is higher than the original, such as an opposed difficulty, you must spend additional hits to make up the difference. You may purchase this trick multiple times on the same action. So there's an example of the one you have to buy multiple times. I like this a lot. I actually, this whole thing gets a full wow from me because I really like this. I really like this idea. It's part of what I'm trying to do with my dice pool mechanic, where I want the players to feel like, oh, I have a handful of bennies, handful of things that I can risk and spend to do things. I feel like that's something that we as gamers like to do, to have like points that I can spend on things. These are the brilliant game design insights that you come to the stream to hear. But this is good. This is good. I like, because now it feels like I've got something to do with all these extra hits, all these extra successes. I would want my players to get lots of extra hits because I want them to do all this stuff. This is this fun stuff. I like it. Also, as a player, I would look forward to this. A lot of this stuff would be a lot of fun. It is, however, I think something very different from what a lot of storytellers who are more used to World of Darkness might be used to. Not a lot of World of Darkness stuff gives players a lot of sort of scenery, scene, add to the narrative kind of powers before. For a game that was so focused on story, it really kept a lot of the story out of the player's hands outside of their own character's actions. This allows a lot of more player authority, which I dig. I, for one, am a fan of player authority, so I'm glad the game has progressed to that point. Catching up on chat. Something I avoid with a lot of games is aimed attack, because if I aim for their eyes, I may be more likely to miss entirely rather than hit the head. With this, you can potentially choose to do an aim after you hit. Maybe less realistic, but more fun. Yeah, exactly. Look, is that realistic? No, right? I get it. And somebody, look, if that's your problem with it, there are other games. There are games that are all about that. This is not that game. It's called Story Path. It is wiffly wobbly. It is a story-based system. This is not hard simulation, right? So yeah. I personally much prefer that it is this way. I said maybe less realistic, but definitely more fun. I really actually like that. Turner thought your character hit like that because you did so well. Exactly. Let's see. Roll results. Oh wait. Before we move on, actually, I'm sorry, folks. It's that time again. I gotta get the ads out of the way. So let me just get the ads out of the way real quick, and then we will go into how to interpret the roll results and what a failure means. Dun dun dun. Be right back. All right, we're back. Dads are done, and we're gonna look at what the rolls do. What that roll do in this game. Well, let's see. Roll results. If the player doesn't meet the difficulty of the challenge with her hits, then she fails at her action. If she nets 0 hits on her roll, then the action is considered an automatic failure, and enhancement is not applied to the action. So that's the closest thing to a botch, really. Failure on an action does not imply that the character failed to act, but that his attempt was unsuccessful in some way. He might miss his mark, say the wrong thing to a security guard, or get spotted by a camera while sneaking around a warehouse. The results of a failure should always push the story forward and may even include the character succeeding in her attempt but creating a larger issue in doing so. Failure should always be interesting and introduce a new story element or change the story's direction based on the character's attempted action. On a failure, the player gains a point of momentum, which goes into a group pool for any player to use in the future. If the action carries a complication, the player may choose to turn any failure into a disaster by allowing the complication to proceed even though the action is not successful. On a disaster, the player gains 2 points of momentum. Okay, I kind of like that actually. I like leaving it up to the players. Like it is a little bit like the hey, I'm gonna offer you a GM complication. I'd say as the story guide, I would advise strongly to remind your players whenever they fail a roll. Would you like to make this especially if there's a complication attached, right? Because that's the main idea. If there's a complication involved, always, and they fail the roll, always remind the player, would you like to turn this into a disaster? That's too juicy momentum. As they're reaching for that first momentum from the fail, it's like, all right, at least I get a momentum. You could always get two. You could always get two. Think of momentum like running downhill. You do well, and you can get a momentum. You trip and fall, you're going faster, and you get a momentum. I get it. I get it. I know. I know. I still don't like. I feel like momentum. If that was the name, they should have kept it tied specifically only to good stuff. I don't. I still don't. I have a hard time grokking that momentum is gained when you fail, but fine, fine. I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. I know. I can use that metaphor. I can use that metaphor. You're rolling downhill, so you've got more momentum. I can use that. I can work with that. I don't like it. Can't make me like it. Can't make me like it. But I will accept it. Um. Oh, where to go? Here we go. All right. So let's see here. So okay, cool. The player has the ability to the choice to turn it into a disaster. I get it. Okay, cool. I do like that. I do like that. That it's a player option. If the player achieves enough hits to meet or exceed the difficulty, the action is considered a success. She performs the action as described. When the player nets enough hits to overcome the difficulty, but there's a complication involved, this is success with consequence. When the player succeeds with sufficient hits to buy off any complications and still have hits remaining, this is considered an extraordinary success. They may purchase tricks with any additional hits they garner on the roll. All right, cool. So disaster, failure, success with consequence, success. Cool, cool. I dig that. An extraordinary success. Okay, so momentum. Here we go. Here we go. Let's dive into it. Let's talk about it. Momentum is a shared resource pool that any player may spend to gain a variety of benefits. Each game session typically begins with 1 momentum point per player, although the story guide can start with more or fewer should they choose. More momentum is added to the pool by players rolling failures and disasters, as well as using the bolster trick and other methods. Momentum can be spent in a variety of ways. Spend 1 to 3 momentum to add an enhancement hit to an action on a 1-for-1 basis. Spend momentum after the dice have been rolled and only if the dice roll has at least 1 hit as per normal for enhancement. Normal restrictions for enhancement apply. Cool. So no more than a +3, or no more than a +5 total, etc., etc. Spend 2 momentum to change a failure into a success or a success with consequence if a complication is present. If you choose this use, you cannot spend more momentum points for enhancement, for tricks, or to turn the action into an extraordinary success. Other sources of enhancement apply normally. Okay. Spend 1 momentum to describe a story element in a scene. This element is now a fact. For example, the player may decide the bank manager is an estranged uncle, or that the curious passenger on the bus is secretly a hunter. This is subject to story guide. Okay, cool. So kind of basic fate point usage. Spend 1 momentum to gain a piece of evidence about an investigation. Okay, so this is what we'll see this system. We'll see what the investigation system looks like, because they did kind of mention that there are like three in the criminal justice system of Curseborne. There are three separate but equally important systems: the action system, the investigation system, and the social system. These are their stories. Uh, Let's see. Alan is playing an accursed who is attempting to break into another family's well-guarded mansion. He's accumulated 4 points of momentum due to some failed rolls. However, now that his character is staring down a couple of guards with pistols, he spends 1 momentum to adjust the details of the scene. One of the guards forgot to perform their weapon maintenance, and their pistol suddenly jams. I dig it. I dig it. All right, advantage. Sometimes characters in Curseborne are so incredibly different in certain aspects that they are beyond normal comparisons. In these situations, advantage is used to describe it. Advantage is a comparison tool that determines if one character has, well, a major advantage over another in a certain arena. It's only relevant when two characters are in opposition to one another, or a character is in opposition to a noteworthy force. Advantage is numbered, but those numbers represent the level of difference and nothing more. Characters have no advantage over others unless a specific spell or ability says they do. Some abilities that give advantage stack with one another, but that will always be spelled out. Otherwise, if multiple possible advantages apply, the player or story guide picks the best or more appropriate one. Okay. Characters can gain advantage in different arenas, and their advantage applies only to actions within that arena. The arenas are durability, intellect, power, social, and speed. Most advantage types are direct comparisons, such as two characters with a social advantage will compare that advantage to one another. In the case of durability, a character with a durability advantage is simply harder to attack. Durability enhancement applies direct to their defense and requires power advantage to overcome. Characters with advantage tally up their total advantage and compare it to each other and use the results below when taking an action against that character. So this sounds a little bit like in my system, you've got aptitudes, but also you've got resonance. I mean, you've got resonance on a roll, then you gain extra stuff. Except here it looks like there are levels of this. Levels, as if I had levels of resonance, and that's a thought, maybe. Levels of resonance. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that would fit in my game. But here there are levels of advantage. You can have more advantage than somebody else. Interesting. So gain +2 enhancement for every point of advantage a character has over the other. These supersede all other limits for enhancement. Wild. Suffer +1 difficulty for every point of advantage a character has under the other. Wow. So there's lots of everything here. So like the one who has the advantage over the other gains enhancements, while the one who's suffering from disadvantage has additional difficulties. In an opposed action, the character with higher advantage gains enhancement on their action, but the character with lower advantage does not suffer difficulty increase. Oh, never mind. Immediately as soon as I'm saying, okay, you can have both. No, you can't. Shut up, nerd. If the difference in advantage is 3 or more, neither character rolls, and the character with higher advantage just automatically succeeds. Wild. So Brian is playing an accursed who uses a spell to run faster than most people in some vehicles. His character now has a speed advantage of 1. When making rolls that involve his character's speed in some way, he gets +2 enhancement against those with no speed advantage on their own. Okay. So some non-character set pieces in a scene might also gain advantage for the purpose of comparison. For example, a character may attempt to shoot at a helicopter or race against a motorcycle. While the helicopter and the motorcycle are both inanimate objects and do not roll dice, they may have advantage. The character acting against them must compare advantage and either gain enhancements or suffer difficulty on the action. These special case advantages are assigned by the mechanics that create them, such as area effects or special abilities. Interesting. So it's like yet another way of increasing the difficulty. I'll have to see some examples to see how well that works. And then start playing. Now you know the basics, you're ready to play. No, really, you are. Make your character, read the rest of the book, and feel free to ask questions to fellow players about the game. But don't sweat it if you don't know everything or get something wrong. The fun of playing is in the surprise, and no game will ever be perfect. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So that's the basics of the system. Solid. The example I saw was gods and superheroes can go toe to toe, but a rando would be turned to pink mist. Yeah, no, I checked that. I get that. It's a mega damage. You know, it is this thing that sets you apart. Yeah, advantage is kind of like in my game again, it's like resonance. Resonance is big, it's special. When you have resonance on an action, you are really good. It's over, exactly. It's over 9,000. Curse you all. And that's basically it. I like that. I like it overall. I take it overall. I don't have no major. It's yet another variation / evolution of the standard sort of D10 dice pool mechanic. The things that are different, like the momentum, spending hits for tricks. Most of the stuff I like. Most of the stuff I really like. Again, my only complaint with momentum is I still can't get used to the name, but I'll deal with it. And I want to see some. I hope we see a lot of examples in the book of managing difficulties and complications. 'Cause I can see that being a stumbling block for GMs who have never done something like that before, right? I can see that. All right, skills. In StoryPath, characters use skills to overcome challenges. Skills represent the knowledge and training a character has. This could be self-taught or trained through an apprenticeship, but either way, a skill represents a character's knowledge and know-how in various areas. Okay, is this the list? Okay, so this is the list of skill stuff, and that's cool. I like that they're doing, okay, so for example, artistry. The artistry skill represents character's ability, so that describes what it is, from making artistic works to performing this. And they give you a couple of examples. When you're using artistry to impress someone with your creative ability, add presence. When using artistry to remember important facts about the history of performance, add intellect. Some examples: when you use artistry to recognize an obscure art object they do not work with detect forgery, add cunning. So we've got some examples of roles that you would make with each skill. I think they had done this. I've seen this done in a couple of World of Darkness books as well. Not all of them have this, but this is very useful. Because sometimes you're like, what do I use? What stats should I use this skill for? And it's like, well, it depends on the situation, right? So here's some good side, like close combat. It's not just when you're actually attacking, but also analyzing somebody else's combat skill or antagonizing someone into taking an ill advised swing, stuff like that. Good stuff, good stuff. So we've got, let's see, our basic skills: artistry, athletics, close combat, culture, empathy, enigmas, esoterica. So esoterica is kind of like your weirdness skill. Represents the character's knowledge about strange things in the world, and the ability to apply that knowledge when necessary. Okay, larceny, leadership, medicine, persuasion, pilot, ranged combat, science, survival, technology. Okay, a pretty standard set of actions. I don't know, chat. Give me let's test it. Let's test it. Tell me what your character is doing, and let's see if we can figure out. Let's try and break the system, right? Tell me what your character is doing. Let's see if we can figure out which skill you would have to roll for that. In the meantime, attributes. You've got your mental, physical, and social. All right, so very familiar, mental, physical, and social as attributes. But then within them, we've got mental is now intellect, cunning, and resolve. Before it was wits, intelligence, and not willpower. Wits, intelligence, and perception. No. Wait. What are the three stats? Crap. How am I forgetting the stats of World of Darkness? Wits, intelligence. It's not charisma, because it's manipulation. Manipulation, charisma, and appearance, right? No, god damn it! I am completely flaking on all the old terms. What is happening to me? Let me pull them up real quick. Wait a minute. World of Darkness stats. I mean, this might be a good sign, right? Might be a good sign. Okay, strength. So in old one, intelligence, perception, and wits. So I was close. It was perception. So before it was intelligence, perception, and wits. Now it's intellect, cunning, and resolve. So intellect covers the character's raw computing power used for deduction, problem solving, and processing information. Cunning covers mental tasks that require speed over power. So basically wits. Use cunning when trying to notice something hidden, understand a political situation, solve a riddle. Cunning is probably a better term. And then resolve. Instead of perception, it is now resolve. Resolve measures a character's strength of will and resistance to trickery or mental pressure. Interesting. That's something that probably might have been. I don't know what that would have been before. Just willpower, your separate willpower score. Now you have resolve. I don't see a separate willpower score, in fact. So that's interesting. Still fits the cloud power, finesse, and defense methodology. Right. It's still relatively familiar. But instead of perception as an attribute, did we see perception as a skill? Leadership, persuasion. No, I don't see a well, okay, because that's why. Right. We don't see perception as a stat, and we don't see perception as a skill because there is an investigation system. There's an investigation system, right? So we need to take a look at that investigation system and see what that's going to look like. Um, so excited for that, right? All right, so cool. Let's see here. So go back to the stats. All right, so then we've got physical. So your physical stats are might. Instead of strength, it's might, but otherwise might, dexterity, and stamina. So that seems pretty straightforward. Not a huge difference there. And then social is presence, manipulation, and composure. Okay, old school used to be appearance. Now it's presence. Presence was also, I think, in the most recent sort of Chronicles of Darkness stuff. Sorry, I thought I saw my cat back there, but no, she is. Where are you actually? She's probably in one of her boxes. All right, all good. Um, so yeah, presence I think has been the general term for the past few editions. And the manipulation and composure, yep, those are also like been the most recent stats. It used to be charisma, manipulation, and appearance, but now there's no appearance. Now it's mostly presence can be part of that, and the manipulation and composure, which again is, as you said, it's that sort of power, finesse, and defense methodology. So in intellect, it will be power, finesse, and defense. Power, finesse, defense, and yes, power, finesse, defense. I dig that. Got to roll. Okay, Potato. Thank you for hanging out, buddy. I hopefully will see you tomorrow when we wrap this up. But thanks as always for hanging out, buddy. Okay, when the character is resisting, play character. Okay, some basic rules there. Contacts. Interesting. Okay, we're going straight into contacts. Contacts are rated from 1 to 3, interesting, and can carry contact tags that define what they are good at. Each dot a contact has conveys an additional contact tags. Contact tags define the type of roles the contact can help your character with, and add the contact's dot rating as an enhancement to those roles. For example, a contact with 2 dots and the influential tag would add +2 enhancement when he uses the status to sway events in your character's favor. Oh, I like it. Okay, this is kind of a simplified contacts system. Before, like, contacts was always one of those things that's like, I see why it's there and I see why it's useful, but also like unless I happened to make a contact character, a contact NPC that fits the very specific plot that we're doing this week, it's kind of wasted. So I like that contacts now, like these tags, make them generally useful, a little bit more generally useful for certain roles. Suggested tags include dangerous, prone to violence, fence, has access to a black market, influential, can get you into exclusive places, informant, skilled to provide information, investigator, mentor, moneyed, security, sneaky. I like that. Each time the character invokes her path contact, choose a path skill without attribute and roll that number of dice against difficulty 0, adding any bond rating as a free enhancement. The hits generated can be used to purchase the favors as tricks that cost 1 hit each. Okay. All right, I get that's pretty straightforward. Actually, you know what? Oh, wait. Let me finish reading this. The first time in a session, this comes with no complication. The next attempt to invoke the contact in the same session incurs a minor complication. These are secret attempts. Upgrade the complication to major. If she fails to buy off the minor complication, the contact needs a favor in response, and the player gains the unexpected favor status effect. If she fails to buy off the major complication, the contact is tapped and won't respond for the rest of the story. If the contact needs to take an action, they roll with 8 dice, adding their dot rating as an enhancement if they possess an appropriate tag. I think honestly, I like this. It is an actual system for contacts that gives you specific numbers on what they do, what they add, where they apply, and has a built-in way to keep it from being abused, how often you can use it, how difficult it becomes to keep asking for more favors from your contact. I think this is a really good mechanic right here. I really like what they're doing with the contacts mechanics. I think it might make people actually pick up contacts for stuff like one-shots, where a lot of the time, like, they don't bother with that. That's really cool. Uh, let's see. Okay, let's look at status effects because a few things have mentioned them before, and I'm real curious how those will go. So, Mother says every family has a ring with a different jewel in it. It's important, she says, and goes back to a time well before your granddaddy's age. She takes me into her room, opens that old walnut armoire, and makes me turn away as she unlocks the safe she keeps inside it. But I count the clicks. Daddy always says I'm a clever boy. Then she tells me to turn around, so I turn around. In her hands is a ring with a jewel of sparkling blue. It reminds me of the ocean when the sun is rising. It looks clean and good and filled with possibilities. I reach out to touch it. She notices I'm getting closer and slaps me across the face. No, she says. Only look for a moment. Your curse is still new in your spirit. You need to work it, you need to master it, and so etc., blah 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 blah. All I care about is the jewel. I'm coming back with my crew for it. I wonder how much it would be worth to another family. Another family from another lineage, maybe? She'll be mad, but come on. She's my mother. She'd never hurt me, even if I steal from her. Let's see. Status effects are long-term effects that apply condition or status on characters over time. These effects are often negative, but can sometimes be positive, depending on the source. All status effects have a description on what they do to the character and how they are resolved. Okay, so lingering effects, discords from my game. Because I'm sure that they've taken inspiration from the multiple markdown documents where my game lives. Sure, that's where they took that from. Um, Not like I took that from the World of Darkness games in the first place. Uh, let's see. So if status effects on location, wait. Status effects can apply directly to character location. Always list the description. Okay, so that is how you might gain, result of a hard bargain, result of a non-direct source of damage, failure to buy of complication, blah blah. Okay, so here's some of the status effects. So aggravated wound is a status effect in combat. And how you resolve them. Okay, very common, very straightforward mechanics on this. Agony. The character is suffering excruciating pain from a wound. She took damage from a weapon made to hurt more than to kill. All actions are made at +1 difficulty for the remainder of the scene. Um, Again, my instinct was to say, "Oh, you're rolling versus 9 from now." I said, "No. You have one difficulty you have to overcome with your hits." It's going to take me a while to get used to, and to call them hits instead of successes. Odd, social, bleeding, combat, burning, composed, confused. Okay, so this is stuff that I would definitely like once I'm running the game. I want to pay attention to these because this is one of those things that the old Chronicles of Darkness games had that I felt was underused, and that was the status effects, right? These things that you could apply these, and people have to resolve them and all that stuff. I wonder if there's like in previous games there were like combat tilts. I wonder if those I don't think so. I think because they specifically say that status effects can apply to a location, right? Yeah, exactly. If it's a location. So instead of tilts, now there are just status effects that apply to the location. Enemy social, enraptured. Okay, this was a very specific outcast thing, right? Because I think we saw this, like, oh, you see the true form of an outcast and you gain the enraptured effect. Let's see. So the character has witnessed the true form of an outcast. She may have appeared angelic with wings and a halo, demonic with horns and leathery wings, or some other effect like blue skin and glowing eyes. For supernaturals, their bonds to the outcast stop working. Neither the person suffering from enraptured nor the outcast can use their bond enhancement. For mundane people, they become either terrified of or obsessed with the outcast. Either way, anyone with a status effect suffers a moderate complication on all actions that are not in direct response to the outcast and her revealed visage, which results the bond the character has to the outcast, which results in the bond that the character has to the outcast reducing by 1 or breaking if it is already at 1. If the character did not have a bond to the outcast prior, this instead forges a bond of obsession. Either a curse may resolve the status effect when the outcast resolves her damnation, or the end of the session, whichever happens first. Mundane humans can only resolve the status effect if they gain the odd status effect over someone else interesting. So that is the danger of revealing your true self as an outcast. That you leave people in this. It's a complete reverse. Instead of like, no, people forget your true form. It's like, no, people will never forget. They'll never get over it. No, never show them your true face. They will not get over that shit. fast-acting toxin, frayed temper, social, grappled combat, guild-ridden, social. I feel like maybe you should separate the social and combat ones from one another, maybe. But there are also like ones that are neither, like infected, refreshed, sleeping pills, slowed, slow-acting toxin, stunned, combat, taken out, combat, terrified, unexpected favor, unlucky. Okay, so I feel like this is a good collection of statuses. I wonder if in I wonder, and I think we will probably see in the story guiding chapter, in the story guide, that's kind of example and guidance and I guess teaching chapters for story guides, if they will give you some guidelines and training on how to create your own status effects and how to keep them balanced and stuff. But a lot of examples is a good start towards that as well, because if you got lots of examples, you can kind of build yours so they feel like around the same level. So that's not too shabby. Let's see now. Okay, now we're going to go into action sequences. So let's see. I can't stop because they'll catch me. I can't fight because I'll lose. I know I can't run fast enough to escape them. Izzy. I can hear that fucker. Their pack leader. My uncle, if you can believe it. He's getting close. He's gonna make me do it. He wants to bring out the creature. He wants to see me at my worst. Sometimes it starts with my skin stretching, splitting, and ripping into new leathery armor. Occasionally the first sign is my muscles throbbing before they explode into 100 pulsing scars. Tonight, it starts with my bones lengthening, new teeth forcing their way through my gums and my face. My face. When I howl, I do it because it hurts like nothing else. But I also do it to give this cocksucker some loud, screaming sounds of advice. Be careful what you wish for. You want the creature, you son of a bitch? Come get me. Fuck yeah, I love that fiction. And we're going to go through some examples of how we do simple, mixed, and reflexive actions. Ooh, teamwork mechanics. Excited for that as well. We'll see all of that once we, once again, get back from the ads. It's that time. Bear with us. All right, sorry for the slight delay there, folks. There was a whole bunch of noise all of a sudden right outside my door, and it spooked the cat. It's just the neighbor was bringing down some luggage, and it was loud. All good, all good. The neighbor says hello. All right, so let's see, how does this work when you do an action? Simple actions. I mean, yeah, you roll the thing. Fine. Yeah, as long as that's this is pretty basic guidance. Mixed action. What's a mixed action? Aha, splitting your dice pool. It's something you used to be able to do. It sucked unless you have a really big dice pool. Let's see how this works here. Sometimes a player may want to split a character's attention to take two different actions at the exact same time. Unless otherwise noted, a player may choose to combine two actions into the same role to perform them at the exact same time. This is called a mixed action, sometimes referred to as doing two things at once. When taking a mixed action, follow these steps. From a dice pool using the lower pool. Okay, so very similar to what you had, which is like you take your lower dice pool and then you kind of split it. Let's see, form a dice pool using the lower pool for the two tasks that you are trying to complete and roll. You cannot perform the same action on two different targets as part of a mixed action. Instead, you should use a shockwave trick. Okay, cool. Apply the highest enhancement you might have from either action to your hit pool, but the story guide may decide to only allow enhancement from specific appropriate sources. Fair. Spend hits on overcoming the difficulty to accomplish each task separately. Spend hits to buy off complications sorted with a set of actions. Complications should be set based on the combined action, not each individual action. They can also purchase tricks associated with each action. The player does not garner enough hits to spend on both difficulties. She picks which difficulty she wants to overcome and completes only that action. If she fails both actions, no complications occur unless the player decides to make it into a disaster. Okay, so basically, choose your lower one and then kind of roll it, add your enhancements from wherever, and then spend hits on both actions as needed for successes and complication managing. Cool. Reflexive actions. Some actions happen so quickly or are so trivial to do they don't take up a character's time. This could be anything from chatting while performing another task to pulling a pistol from a holster when the character enters the building. These are reflexive actions. The character can take as many reflexive actions on her turn as she would like. Sorry. Okay, cool. Working together, teamwork action, let's go. Two or more characters want to work together to accomplish a larger task. So you have to have the same skill and attribute to form a dice pool. Each hit garnered goes towards overcoming the difficulty of the task, overcome complication, and purchasing tricks. If they fail the task or fail to overcome complications, everyone involved in the teamwork action suffers the consequences. So Carl and Daniel are tracking down an escape primal. The accursed has been through this area several times, making finding the right trail hard. They decide to combine their efforts as a teamwork action. Both players roll survival plus cunning to track the primal against a difficulty of 2. There's a minor complication that they might alert the escapee to their presence if they don't buy it off. Carl gets 1 hit and Daniel gets 2. Together, they overcome the difficulty, because it was difficulty 2, right? So Daniel's 2, and then and Carl's hit buys off the complication, meaning they catch the freshest trail without alerting the werewolf. Pretty straightforward. Both of you roll your dice pool and combine your hits. Yeah, no complaints. Very solid. No crazy math. No, okay, you only get to use part of this thing. It's like, yeah, it's just pretty straightforward. I dig that. Stage action. Stage action. 2 or more characters want to accomplish a complicated task that involves a variety of skills. Okay. Each player uses a different skill plus attribute. Okay, so this is not less cooperation, more like I do the forging, you do the layout, that sort of thing. Each player may use the hits to purchase tricks for the particular action, but not the others. Right, so basically everybody goes through. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I get it. I get the basic concept. Of course, before running the game, I would actually properly read these rules. But I like that there is a separate set of rules for that. Cool. Units of time. In Curseborne, time is measured in 2 ways. The first is the time it takes the characters to do things in the fictional world. Measured in real time, in minutes, hours, and days. Second is the time it takes, turns, rounds, scenes, sessions, stories, and campaigns. We understand those. Initiative and spotlighting. All right, let's see. Normally, whenever multiple characters want to take an action, players can roll simultaneously and decide how those actions fall in the narration. But when multiple characters want to take actions against one another at the same time, the game shifts into a round-by-round situation called spotlighting. In this case, initiative is used to determine who acts first, and so on. To determine initiative, each player forms a dice pool from their character using the highest of either athletics plus cunning or empathy plus dexterity. Okay. The story guide forms a dice pool for each of the story guide characters using their stated initiative number. Everyone compares hits, and the person with the highest number goes first in the round, taking the spotlight. After that character has taken their action, that player chooses a character to give the spotlight to, and that character takes their turn. The spotlight can go to anyone who has not yet acted in the round, including a story guide character. Play continues until all characters have had a chance to act in the round, and then either the inciting incident that required initiative is resolved, or the group enters another phase of spotlighting. If that happens, the last character to act in the previous round chooses the first person to act in the new round. The character can choose themselves to go first in the new round should they desire. While initiative is not an action, certain abilities or equipment may apply enhancement to the initiative. Okay, cool. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. We and almost nobody plays. That's the thing. In the way old World of Darkness combat was supposed to play, but I guess part of why it was such a slowdown is because of this sort of kind of reverse initiative kind of thing, where you would roll your initiative, and so it would state who acts first, but then you would then go back and you would declare actions from the last person to act. So the last person to act, the one that got the lowest initiative, declares their action. I am going to stab so and so in the face. Then the next person up initiative, that's still, it's a declaration. You're not stabbing yet. You say what you're going to do. And the next person initiative goes like, okay, knowing that you are going to stab so and so in the face, I'm going to move in this direction. And then the next person goes like, okay, I'm the person who's going to get stabbed in the face. So seeing that this guy is going to stab me in the face, what I'm going to do is dodge. And let's leave it at that. And now the actions resolve in reverse order. So first, the person with the highest initiative, who said they're going to dodge, gets into dodging position because they see this knife coming. Then the person who said they were going to, whatever it was, move, does their thing. And then finally, the knife guy tries to see, but oh boy, I'm dodging is very fast, so roll and remove your whatever, dodge makes this harder. So you had to like go up the initiative layer one and then come right back down, and that kind of slowed it down. Here it's just like you get the spotlight. Okay, your highest initiative, you go first. What do you do? And then you do the things, you resolve the things, so you move on to the next. So kind of like, this is your standard sort of D&D action. And honestly, that is how I've seen the bulk of World of Darkness games played. Like even I think ours, the Sunday one that I've been doing, I haven't been involved. Well, no, I guess I have been involved in a few combats, although they weren't really combats and more just single-handed beatdowns from my character to haphazard NPCs that had no idea who they were fucking with. Um, but I've seen. I think there were a couple of combats, and they were basically resolved not with the whole like declare and then go back, but just sort of like, all right, it's your turn, what do you do, kind of thing. Like almost everybody is instinctively goes with that. So I'm glad that we're kind of moving beyond that, right, and just doing standard sort of initiative and action as opposed to the high weirdness of sort of that reverse initiative from World of Darkness. That said, on the downside, now I don't get to do the. Well, actually, you're supposed to declare action and then resolve the actions in reverse chronological order. So I do have fewer opportunities now to be kind of a dick. Although there is also the opportunity to be a meta dick, and if somebody who is playing Curseborne and is still in the mindset of the old World of Darkness rules comes at you and goes, you can write them back, actually you need to push up your glasses up further on your nose. Exactly. Look, I don't have money to spend on things, and I really should leave the statement at that. And I haven't spent money on things, but oh boy, oh boy. I mean, it's too late for Halloween by now. Halloween is tomorrow. I really should figure out some kind of costume for stream tomorrow. But I've seen on TikTok they sell these like anime glasses that have like they are transparent. You can see through them, but they are these thick black frame glasses. They're square, and when you push them up, that pushes a little button, and they actually light up. They're designed. The plastic screen is designed that it actually lights up, so the whole thing, like the whole lens lights up. So it's kind of like that lens light reflection classic from the anime. Man, I want them. Look, I would like acknowledgement from chat that I am a strong boy because I did not spend the money and purchase those, despite the fact that I wanted them so hard, so hard, and I did not do it. I did not do it because I am a good boy. I am a good boy with a high willpower. Um, so cool. I like this. Yeah, I have earned chat's judgment and approval in this matter. I'm not gonna. First of all, welcome in Arbalest, and second of, no, I don't have money to. I look, man, look what I'm doing for a living. This being a little tabletop RPG dancing monkey for like three people on chat. And this is not paying the bills. I cannot afford to buy the anime glasses right now. Maybe later. Maybe later. You know what? That's put that as a goal. I have to create a little goal. Have that at the top of my screen here. A little counter like anime glass counter, subscription counter or something. So no, no work expense, right? I mean, look, man, it's all work expenses at this moment. I'm tax deducting my life. Welcome in, buddy. Welcome in. All right, so we got the system. We got the system. It's kind of World of Darknessy, but for those of us, those old heads like us, but improved in many ways. If nothing else, at least once don't take away successes, and that's all I fucking need to know. Uh, Areas and area effects. Okay, they're acting in vacuum. Location areas. Blah, 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 area effects. A flame. Okay, so these are effects that are. So this is weird. Like, see, we've got. I feel like that should probably that whole area could be moved back to here because we have like all these special effects, right? Status effects, and now we've got a separate sort of like area effects, units of time. Yeah, area effects. And the same as this area is a flame, this area is crowd, this area is that. Those are just status effects for areas. So rather, I mean, I guess they didn't want to have it like darkness, minor, comma, area, but I feel like that would be better than just having a separate area list for statuses. I guess like if I don't know. I guess I can go either way on that. All right, so these are things that apply to an area. So, for example, the area might be disturbing. Um, I'm curious, what does disturbing do actually? Everything in the area makes you feel uneasy, it should be. Anyway, and you don't know who to trust. The complication applies to all influence and teamwork actions. If not bought off, the character cannot use bond enhancement on actions in their area. Their bonds turn for positive or negative for the rest of the scene. The character gains an appropriate social status effect. Interesting. Dread, extreme temperatures, extreme weather, flooding, fortified, overgrowth, overstimulating have been there. Passions flaring, quaking, secured. Wait, passions flaring. So that's interesting. You could have like area effects. Well, yes, no. I mean, I think we saw some of those with some of the families and lineages that they had specific abilities. It's like, oh, when using a spell with the ethereal attunement, bleed an extra curse die to apply the passions flaring effect to the area, stuff like that. So I think we've seen some of these mentioned before. Um, Secured, sinking, social code, suffocating, tight, vertiginous. Somebody pulled out the thesaurus for that one. Range bands. Okay, so this is a separate thing. This is not no longer a consequence. This is a concept within. Okay, so basically these are ranges. So combat in this game is very much theater of the mind. Yeah, so that's why you have ranges. You have general areas. Theater of the mind generally does this sort of division. This is a lot of ranges. A lot of theater of the mind just keeps it to like close, nearby, and far. And some of them will have close, nearby, far, and very far. And that's usually as close as they get. I've seen some that have up to five, which is like touch range, like intimate range, like we're hugging basically kind of range, and then arm range, and then nearby as in the same 10 by 10 room range, and then far, which is pretty much anything further than that, and then very far, which is out of line of sight. um, This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because it's counting out of range as I think one of them. And hey, Stream Element Spot, thank you for plugging my Start Playing Games profile. Do you like what you see here? Would you like me to run a game for you? I'm willing. Just throw money at me. There's a link for that. So I guess they're just counting out of range as beyond the reach of any weapon. Extreme, most attacks do not reach this range. Long range, medium range, short range, close range. Okay, cool, cool, cool. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so if you got a virtual tabletop distances. Okay, so they do have a conversion thing for if you're using a VTT. Cool, because hard distance conversion to squares for VTT play. Handy to have if you must, if you like it. I guess some people really want that. I prefer theater of the mind a lot of the time. Jesus Christ, Kitty. Kitty, oh my God, you scared the fuck out of me. Come here. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. You know you want to. You did claw me. Come on. Okay, I'm trying, folks. I'm trying. Come on. Here we go. There she goes. There she goes. Yeah. Let's see if we can get y'all some kitty. Some kitty. Let's see here. Wait. There she is. There she is. Is she the sweetest kitty in the world? Yes, she is. She is a lovely little kitty. I'm probably muting her because she is on top of my microphone right now. She is on it, but she's looking around. She's looking for means of escape. She knows that she does not want to be here. She does not want to be. She's not like being held. She just wants lap time. I mean, she wants attention is what she wants. And also it is, what time is it? It's 4:20. It's 4:20, cat. It's 4:20. Are you going to smoke? Do you got them? Because if you got them, you got to smoke them. Folks, chat. It's 4:20 over here. Smoke them if you got them. And yes, hey, Potato, welcome back. Good to see you back on chat. We're just kind of having a kitty moment right now. Just having a little kitty moment. Yeah, your eye is still bothering you a little, sweetheart. Oh, come here. Come here. There you go. There you go. All right, let's get back to it. Here we go. Press the button. All right. So, let's see. I'm not going to read all this. This is combat. Okay, so we're talking combat rules, action adventure. So you're moving. So these are basic ways you move, drop, and stand. Okay, okay, so if you're dropping or standing, it can be a mixed action if you're trying to do that while at the same time. Grapple status, rush, you can move as part of another action by taking 2 actions at once. Okay, utilize cover, light cover, heavy cover, full cover. They have specific designs, how much damage they can take. Defense, in combat, dive to cover. Okay, cool. So this is interesting, because a lot of the same action resolution mechanics, so the extra hits applying to tricks and stuff, apply to combat. So when you do your attack roll and you get a lot of extra successes, you can use those extra successes to do stuff like defense tricks or attack tricks. I'm guessing there are tricks here. Yeah, combat tricks, universal tricks. So attention, your blow draws subversive attention, I mean they'll target you the next time. Okay, this is really cool. This gets a foot. Yeah, I like this a lot, because it gives you a lot more flexibility. I'm not sure how good it's going to be for ease of combat, for quickness of combat, but I guess, especially if you have like a table, if you have a sheet at the table, or if every player has a quick reference sheet with this stuff, probably I would want to give my players this, because all of this is super useful. Like in the middle of a fight, this is extra stuff that if you roll well, you get to do. And it's not just like, all right, I guess that's extra dice on your damage roll or whatever. Like they matter. They matter. You can do stuff. You can do interesting stuff besides just like, well, maybe I'll do, I get more dice on my damage roll to do with your actions. So I really, really like this concept. I'm a big fan of this. Anything that makes combat more flexible, I enjoy. I really like this concept. I don't know how well it translates into ease of use, and I guess players would need to get used to it as well, but that applies to any system. Let's see, damage. Whenever your character attacks, you can suffer damage. You may also suffer damage from other sources, yada yada yada. Injuries and injury levels. Okay, so a character has multiple injuries she can take before falling unconscious or being taken out of a fight. Each damage the character suffers takes off a single injury box. For player characters, injuries are separated into 4 injury levels. Interesting. As character fills in injury levels, they become more resolved to action and gain small bonuses. Oh, interesting. Normally, the more wounded you are, the more penalties you have. Weirdly enough, here you have more certain bonuses, it sounds like. So let's see. At 2 injuries, you are bloodied. You are scratched, bruised, or otherwise superficially hurt. That inspires you to persevere. Once this injury level is filled, actions using a path skill gain 1 die. Okay, I haven't even read the rest, and already yet another. I fucking love this because it is realistic. It is realistic from right the power of rage and spite. Exactly, potato. Like I understand that it is realistic in other games and in previous games that the more wounded you are, the more penalties you are going to have to pretty much everything you do because you are in pain, you are suffering, you are wounded, you are winded, etc., etc. I get it. From a realism standpoint, it makes perfect sense. From a am I having fun at the game table standpoint, no, never. I have never looked at a wounded character in a World of Darkness game that I am playing and looked down and seen that like minus fucking 3 modifier to all rolls because I am maimed or whatever at the moment and gone like, yeah, this is the experience I signed up for. This is fucking dope. Never. No. No. It's always like, well, fuck. I'm hurt, so I'm gonna be useless. Like with a -3 on all my actions, I'm barely gonna make anything. This sucks. This fucking sucks. That is the usual reaction. Here, you're wounded and you're like, all right, next. I fucking love this. I do. Let's see. Wounded. Speaking of which, 2 injuries and wounded. You're hurt, but not too badly. This forces you to focus on your strengths. Once filled, actions using a path skill gain 2 dice. Maimed. 2 more injuries. You're badly hurt, but you have enough strength for 1 final push. Once filled, when taking actions with a path skill, you can choose to keep the wounded benefit or aggravate your injuries. If you aggravate your injuries, add +2 enhancement that stacks to the action in addition to the 2 dice granted by wounded, but gain the aggravated wound status effect. Ooh. I kind of like that. You can keep pushing yourself. I'm a big fan of this whole system. This is really cool. Near death, 1 injury. You have 1 last action left. The dice pool for this action gains 3 dice and +2 enhancement that stacks. After this roll, regardless of the result, your character is out of the fight. Gain the taken out status effect. I love that. I love that. One last thing, one last push. That's gonna fucking succeed. This is heroic. I love this. I absolutely love this. No notes. Absolutely 0 notes. Look, I know a lot of people, the morgification and the OSR modification of so many games, and I play some games like that. I'm actually looking forward. I want to learn and run Mothership and Alien, those 2 specifically. I want to learn and run them for the gang, but also online. But those are games that I actually saw or described somewhere yesterday or maybe even this morning, honestly. There are games that are like, play to find out or play to win, roll to win, play to find out, roll to discover. That sort of like, those kind of wordings of games. And this one, these games were described as fail to die, basically. Like these are games in which you're constantly going to be suffering. You're going to be in danger constantly. Everything's going to keep getting worse and worse and worse until you die. Which doesn't sound like fun normally for a horror experience, though. Yeah, cool. That can fit in. But I really do need to get better into those because it really doesn't. Like my instinctive reaction is not play to die. It's let's get wild with it. Let's have action. Let's explode, let's do wild shit. I got punched, I'm gonna punch you back harder. My wounds motivate me. I love this. I absolutely love this. Let's see, Psychotic Potato. Oh yes, Mothership is a lot of fun. I'm running a game this weekend for some friends. Survive, save, solve. You cannot do it. Yeah, exactly. It was always like survive, save, and solve. Pick 2, basically, as usual, or even pick 1. basically. So yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, you have to go in with the right mindset for that, because if you're going in with a sort of like, I'm here to try and play a hero and try and win, you're going to become very quickly frustrated. I think that's part of like what we ran into the first time we played like something like Morkborg, where we just were hit with how deadly and how much glee the game takes in just fucking you over and killing you. And it didn't feel fun at the time, because we were prepared to play 5e, basically. We were prepared to play a version of D&D that maybe was a little grimmer and darker, but what we were hit with was a game that actively hates you and wants you to die, and that's the fun part of it. And I can see that. I look, the same people that play all the Dark Souls games, and even myself when I play some of the Souls light and roguelike games out there. There's a little bit of that, even though I'm not a big Elden Ring fan. But I do appreciate some of the, like, make my roguelites silly. Give me Peglin, give me Balatro, give me Monster Train, and I'm happy. But Elden Ring, I have no interest. I'm just weird like that. Damage versus injuries. Talking when an effect talks about hurting someone, it's typically mentioned to cause damage. However, sometimes it might mention causing an injury instead. These are not synonymous. Remember, any damage that isn't handled by cover, armor, or special abilities are converted into injuries. So if something mentions it delivers an injury, such as from not buying off a complication or by a status effect, assume it bypasses any protections unless the story guide says otherwise. Does my armor apply to this? No, it's an injury. It's a consequence. Your armor does not protect you from this. Unless the story guide says otherwise, because I guess, yeah, it would depend on the consequence. I could see some consequences being blood by armor, so it makes sense that it's a storyteller call. Speaking of armor, armor absorbs damage as it comes in, preventing injuries. Each lot of armor the character has provides empty boxes of damage that come before the bloodied injury level. These boxes are marked up first, do not get replaced until after the end of the scene or if something specifically repairs or rejuvenates the armor. Armor applies to all types of damage, including from ARIA effects, unless stated otherwise. Yeah, cool. I've seen this mechanic as well. In fact, I think I'm using it for my game or something similar, where armor is a set of points that resets with every fight, basically. And it can wear off, but it doesn't necessarily mean your armor is destroyed. It just means that's all the damage is going to protect you in this fight. Basic approach, I like it. No notes on that. All right, next we're going to learn about healing, or at least we will learn about healing after these ads. Be right back. Sup, nerds? Let's learn about healing. Hey, is my Spotify still... Why is my Spotify background... I mean, I'm vibing. I'm vibing well enough. But why is it no longer just... Wow. Oh, there we go. Okay, so it was picking it up. I just needed to, like... I had lowered the volume and it's so much that it was basically silent. Alright, so now you guys should have a really soft background music track, which should have been here for the past 2.5 hours, but hasn't been. No worries. We're actually still here for another hour. Since I started late, I started at 2:30. I'm going to keep going until 5:30. So we've just entered the last hour now. We're not on the last half hour. You get not really an extra half hour show. You still get your full 3 hours of whatever this is. It's just going to end a little late because I started a little late because, as I said at the beginning, the therapy. Some men will create a war game rather than go to therapy, which by the way is the tagline for an expansion for the Die RPG. Die RPG being one of my favorite games. I got to run it a couple months ago for some folks on the Discord and absolutely had a blast, and definitely want to do more of that eventually. But there is an expansion, a source book for the Die RPG. If you know anything about Die RPG, the setting, then the phrase like "some men will create a war game before going to couples therapy" is absolutely hilarious. And apparently the idea behind the game is it's a two-person game. It is a married couple basically. And they get pulled into, again, look, it's not a spoiler to say that Die RPG is referred to as Goth Jumanji for a reason. So the concept of like the husband creating this war game, this D&D, this Morkborg fucking expansion or whatever, powered by the apocalypse hack. And then rather than dealing with the problems in his marriage, and then both he and the wife getting pulled into his game, his stupid game, and having to hash things out. Yeah, that sounds like a wild game of Die. I would absolutely love that. And that is, again, that is the tagline for that, and I fucking love it. Because as Strugglebus says, you are that man, and so am I. So am I. And Potato, yeah, no, look it up. There's also a set of comics, Die, D-I-E, just Die comics. Just look it up. The author is Kieran Gillen. Even if you don't play the game, the comics are brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and totally worth picking up and reading. And it is one of those, like, the comics themselves are about the game. The game is about the comics. It is a comic book about tabletop RPGs and the people that we become in them, and why, and the reasons why we play. But there's a lot more to it, and the game itself is brilliant. It's brilliant. I really love it. I love that there's still new expansions coming out, which I can't afford, which is a shame because I bought the super deluxe version of Die RPG back when I got it, and now I can't afford to pick up any of the expansions. Capitalism. Anyway, how do we heal in this game? Let's find out. Treating a character to heal damage requires medicine plus intellect action with the difficulty equal. Okay, so it's important to me. It's important to me to heal because this is kind of a personal bugaboo of mine. As witnessed by my own ordeal this week, where I fucking pulled a muscle, tweaked my ankle on Sunday, and it is now late Wednesday, and my ankle is still sore. And the day after, Monday, was just hell. Like, my ankle really felt bad. And it wasn't the bone, it was the muscle. I could feel it at some point. I could still feel, like, I know which muscle it is now. And it's like, yeah, oof, you need... Man, I don't know what I did to you on Sunday, but sorry. I am so sorry. Please never let me do that to you again. Jesus Christ. But it is much better. But again, that was just like, I just went for a walk and tweaked a muscle, and now I've spent full 3 days hobbling around the apartment and trying to stay off my foot so it doesn't get worse. Healing in real life. I've had surgery. I had a partial thyroidectomy. I have half my thyroid got taken out. The other half was declared dope as fuck and left where it was. But I had a scar. I can barely see it now. It's definitely not going to show up on camera. It's super light, thankfully. But I had a little scar, and it was just a little bit. It's like this much. It's like this much. A tiny little bit of scar. They just made a little slit, and they don't open you up completely. They just make a tiny little slit, and they kind of go in there, and they snip, and they do their thing, right? They cut as little as possible. So a tiny, like 1 centimeter, half an inch slit scar, weeks, if not months, of recovery, of letting that heal, and then further weeks of just having that area being like tender and inflamed and still healing, and and then swelling and all that. Like, healing in real life fucking sucks, right? Nerf healing, or buff healing rather, in real life, please. In the next patch notes, somebody please fix that shit. Um, but in games, so when games, so I get it, even games that try to be nice but are being realistic, since so many games have combat, at the moment, like the slightest injury in a realistic real world game, the slightest injury is just like, well, my character's either out of action entirely or rolling at a -3 on every action for the next 3 in-game months. And even World of Darkness suffered from that a lot. So I'm curious to see what that looks like here. I mean, the focus, of course, is going to be on Accursed, and we're assuming Accursed are probably able to heal faster. But I wonder if they're keeping it realistic or not. My personal hope, I'll be honest, is that they don't. I don't want it to be realistic. I don't want realistic healing. It is one of the. I want action movie or even TV show healing. All right, where you'll get, so long as you didn't go through something bad enough to need hospitalization or a cast, then by next episode you are perfectly fine, perfectly fine. Maybe the tiniest acknowledgement, like you're wearing a little band-aid above your eyebrow, that's it. But otherwise you are back to 100%. Like that's the kind of healing that I like. And then if you did suffer something bad enough to like require hospitalization or something, then yeah, you might show up for an episode or two with a sling, or a cast, or you get left behind for one episode, and you're acting as you kind of go on your own mini adventure, whatever, because you can't be in the fight this episode, and then an episode later you're back. That's how I prefer to handle that sort of stuff. And I hope that it keeps that sort of. It does feel like I think it will, given the fact that we already saw this stuff. Which again, I'm just going to give it another quick. I love this so hard. This is one of my favorite things I've seen in the rules so far. I absolutely love this effect. So I'm curious to see if, and I don't see it. I kind of, while rambling, looked it over, and I don't see just how general healing does. It's like healing in the moment. It feels like rather like a treatment and whatnot, and how the difficulty is here. So the more filled in, the more difficult it is. I get it. Cool. Success in the action just removes the injuries. It removes the injuries from the highest rated injury level. Characters can only benefit from a single healing action each scene. Characters can take a healing action at the end of any scene in which there was not combat or any other heavy physical activities. Characters heal one full injury level between sessions and heal completely at the end of a story. Yeah, perfect. This is no notes. Good. Again, like, hell yeah, I like this version of healing. You can, like, just, if you have the skill to heal in the moment, then you can heal and do just about anything, within reason, right? But still, again, action healing, action adventure healing. Fuck yes, I love this aspect of it. And these are some basic, some good, some reasonable restrictions. One single action, healing action per scene. You can't just keep rolling twice in the same scene and done. So it limits. There is still a time period that has to pass for bigger injuries. Checks out. No problem. Characters can take a healing action at the end of any scene in which there was not combat or any other physical activity. Solid. Done. No problem. Cool. Finally, you're resting. You get your long rest or even a short rest, and you do the healing action. And then also between sessions, you heal a full injury level, and you heal completely at the end of a story. Cool. So natural healing is still kind of slow, but will happen. I mean, one between sessions. Okay, slight note. I might adjust that depending on how often the sessions happen and the pace of the sessions. I can see myself adjusting that rate, but otherwise, Yeah, no problem. No major problems with this. Overall, I like it. Each appropriate combat status effect, like Agony, adds a minor complication to the healing action. Oh, interesting. So combat status effects like Agony make healing more complicated. Yeah, no problem with that. That makes sense. That makes sense. Failure to buy the complication means the stat effect worsens with the character gains a new status effect. Cool, cool. All right, let's. I'm gonna read. I want to read this example combat. Let's go through it. Heather, Isaac, and Josh are portraying Laurie, Charles, and Albert, who are fighting a mob of 4 street thugs, toughs rather. They start at short range from the group. Okay, so and we saw that the ranges are. Let's kind of go back up real quick. We saw the ranges are. Here we go. Close, short, medium, long, extreme, and out of range. And they said that we started at short range, so between 30 and 20 meters or so. We started between 3 and 20 meters or so. So basically just out of reach to about 20 meters, and feet is like 60 feet, 60, 70 feet, something like that. Don't count on me. My math skills are not the best, and neither are my conversion skills. But okay, cool. So just getting an idea of where we're at. So we are short range. So we are still at distant range. But how many giraffes is that? I don't actually know, but I can probably wait. Now I'm curious. God damn it. This is what happens. I get distracted. Giraffe in meters. Is a giraffe stands between 4.3 to 5.7 meters. So let's give a giraffe an average height of 5 meters. No. You brought this on yourself. You dumb yoked yourself your way into this being anywhere from point 0.70 to a full to a full 4 giraffe length from the party. I looked it up from about 1 to 4 giraffes length. Let's see here. Okay, so the short range from the group, so between 1 and 4 giraffes. The story guide asks everyone to roll for initiative. Heather rolls 3 hits, Isaac rolls 2 hits, Josh rolls 5 hits, and the story guide rolls for the street toughs and gets 2 hits. So Albert goes first. And then the rest doesn't matter, because as soon as Albert goes, then after that point, it's spotlight. So basically, Albert will just pass it to who they want to go next. So Albert pulls a knife and moves into close range with the toughs to take a swing at a nearby target. So moving from one range to another, that's fine. That's kind of built into your action. And pulling a knife, just getting it, like pulling it out, and that's so not actions you need to roll for. That actually is the attack. So you move, you attack. Josh rolls close combat plus might, nets 3 hits. No enhancements, no nothing. I haven't seen explanation yet of how weapons work though. Like does the knife? I guess we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I think they're kind of simplifying it. So when like you take a swing on a nearby target, like I haven't seen any mention of what weapons specifically do. And then we're moving to investigation stuff. So yeah, I'm not seeing anything here. Range combat. Yeah, I haven't seen. Yeah, that's actually surprising now that I think about it. I haven't seen any mention. I'm guessing weapons probably would add enhancements, right? So you still need to roll to hit, and then if you hit, a weapon would provide X enhancements, right? Because it does sound like, and we're seeing combat, seeing damage, but weirdly enough, close combat plus minor. Oh wait, did they attacking? Yeah, like there's nothing mentioning weapons. There's nothing mentioning whether one weapon or weapons versus barehanded or anything like makes any kind of difference so far. I wonder if we'll see that later in the game. But right now, it's just once a player you inflict a single point of damage to the opponent for free. Any other maneuver or character move you take in combat is a trick you can apply to your attack. So basically, like, yeah, you would do a point of damage and then apply extra hits to do more stuff. Okay, damage. You can suffer damage. Blah blah blah. Choose to prevent. Yeah, but I'm not seeing anything about weapons. Interesting. And they don't show anything in this example. So I don't know if weapons apply. I mean, I can see weapons doing a couple things, right? And I guess we'll probably get it the more you know soon enough. But I can see weapons doing two things. One, applying enhancements to damage, right? So you still need to roll to hit. And then a weapon with a +2 enhancement would be like if you get at least one hit, then the 2 enhancements get added because the hits are used for damage and tricks and stuff. And the other is that weapons may bring their own custom tricks. So while using a knife, you have the option to spend 2 hits for this knife specific trick. So those are the 2 things that I could see a weapon helping with. But as of right now, neither one of those are presented. So I don't know. Not seeing anything there, that concerns me a bit. It's a little bit weird to not see it, honestly. But anyway, so Josh rolls close combat plus might, and that's 3 hits. The tough's defense is 2. Also, we haven't seen defense. Did we see defense described? I did skip over some rules, to be fair. But let me see. Attacking. The player's defense enough. The opponent's defense is the difficulty for the action. Defense. Okay, yeah, here we go. So I did kind of skip over the defense. This one's on me. Character's defense is the difficulty of the attacker's. Okay, cool. Attack and defense. As an incoming attack is always 1 unless otherwise stated. When a character is attacked, you take a defensive action using stamina, no skill attack. The difficulty of the defensive action is 0 unless specified otherwise. Each hit garnered from the defensive action can be used to purchase defense tricks. After she sets her defense, the attacker rolls for their attack action. Okay, I kind of like this. I like this actually. Yeah, I like this basic defense system as well. Like you get +1, you can choose to defend, take a defense action, it's basic stamina, and then with that you can do stuff like dodge, dive to cover, roll away, etc. Or you can spend your action in the round to take a full defense, roll twice your stamina or other defense pool, versus defense success normal. This is a simple action and not that complicated. I like this. I like the way that you defend here. I'm a fan of this. I like the way this is working out. Let's see. I mean, I still think it's weird that we don't have anything special about weapons, but hey, sure, let's keep going. So the tough defense is 2. Okay, we got that. Now we know how it's defined. He decides to purchase 1 point of the feint trick because he has enough to deal 1 point of damage and have a leftover hit for purchasing a trick, right? Because the damage is automatic. As long as you hit, you do 1 point of damage. And the hit that's left over, he can use to purchase a trick, which he decides to purchase 1 point of the feint trick and give Laurie an enhancement on her attack. So Josh then decides that Laurie will go next. Laurie uses a gun and shoots at the next tough. Heather rolls range combat plus dex to shoot the tough and nets 1 hit. With the enhancement Albert provided, she has just enough hits to overcome the defense and deal a point of damage. Yes, because he gave her the enhancement, so that's 1 + 1. The youth defense is 2. Also interesting because previous editions, guns were always like the most deadly thing because your defense did not apply, and it was assumed, well, bullets are so fast you can't really dodge them. So guns were just super deadly, which again, I get it. Guns are deadly. Kids, lock up your guns, lock up your daughters. But in terms of a game, it made it so like, why am I going to be Katana Vampire when I could be Dual Gatling Vampire and be unstoppable, right? So here it sounds like guns are just one more weapon. Your defense applies to guns just like it applies to everything else, is what it sounds like. Which, I appreciate. As somebody who doesn't like getting shot at, I appreciate that. So let's see. So with the enhancement, that's 2 meets or beats the defense, does 1 damage. Heather could choose to have Charles go next, but instead decides to let the toughs go next to see what they do. The story guide decides to have the mob attack Albert and rolls her primary pool for their attack, netting a total of 3 hits. Josh rolls Albert's stamina and nets 1 hit and chooses to raise his defense to 2. The toughs have enough hits to overcome his defense and have a hit left over to purchase a trick. The story guide decides to purchase the knockdown trick and knock Albert prone. Charles is the last person in the combat who hasn't taken an action, so the story guide selects him to go next. Isaac has Charles roll athletics plus dexterity to throw a knife at the tough. buffs. He doesn't gain any hits and fails to roll. God damn it, Isaac. Or God damn it, Charles. The story guide tells him that his knife doesn't miss the tufts, but instead one of them catches it out of the air and is now armed with it. The story guide adds some momentum to the pool as consolation. Since Charles was last to act, he could choose himself to act first in the next round, which he does. He moves into close range to make a close combat attack. Time to get his knife back. Okay, so I mean, not too shabby. Seems pretty straightforward. The trick is like your players are gonna want to have easy access. Like one of the first and most important things that you're gonna want to do is make sure that your players have access and a clear understanding of the tricks and what they can buy, because those are gonna be. If the one downside is I don't see. Shove, you push your opponent back, seize, knockdown, establish grapple, disarm, break up grapple, pull your punch, feint, +1 difficulty, deal. Okay, critical, deal addition. So by default, all attacks just do 1 damage. That's what it looks like. It looks like no matter your weapon, no matter like whether you're punching or shooting or stabbing, all attacks by default just do 1 damage. And if you need at least 3 hits to make this critical and deal an additional damage to your target. Now, my worry here, and I guess we'll see once we see antagonists and how you create mooks and stuff, is are enemies going to have like are mooks assumed to have like just 1 or 2, like 2 or 3 health points and they go down? Characters have like 7 apparently, 7 or 8, which is fine. But it feels like when it's just 1 hit back and forth, 1 hit back and forth. I mean, another complaint from World of Darkness was that combat could feel really swingy. 2 examples from the vampire game that I've been in on Sundays. The battle for becoming Prince, which again I was not there for either one of these battles. But the battle for becoming Prince between a very tall vampire and a Ventru. I forget what the very tall vampire is. He's not. I don't think he's Gangrel. Was he True Bruja? Was he? No. I mean, no. He might have been Bruja. I'm not sure. But he was very tall and very big and very Viking-y. And then a Ventru who they were going to have a duel to settle which one of them would be Prince of Palermo, of Sicily. Or at least Palermo anyway. And the combat began. Big guy won initiative, and then proceeded to, with a single swing of just 1 attack, rolled. I don't even remember how many successes, and then rolled damage, and it was like it was over in 1 round. He like just de-armed the dude. The dude never even had a chance to attack. Like if your die is good enough, combat is over in less than 1 round. Or if your rolls are bad, it can just slog on forever. Combat can be very swingy in Old World of Darkness. This seems to remove like 99% of the swing from it. It ain't got no swing. This is just you are punching each other back and forth in the face until somebody goes down. But at the same time, you've also got all these tricks that you can buy to I guess move combat in different directions. So I really would need to experience this a bit, run a few combats, be part of a few combats to see how they feel and how they flow. Because I feel like that super low damage. I mean, then again, you've got games like Numenera. Numenera kind of does that same thing. Weapons have like a very fixed damage, and then if you get extra successes, you can do a little bit more, a little bit less. But still, like just 1 damage no matter what. Again, I'm guessing certain weapons will probably have stuff like enhancements that you can then spend for a critical, like or stuff like that. I'm guessing that's probably a thing that we're going to see. But as of right now, yeah, it's very definitely, yeah, exactly, very cinematic, very cinematic. Bullet hit me, ouch, punch, exactly. And I don't mind cinematic. On the contrary, I actually really dig cinematic. But I do worry about turning combat into a slow slugfest, right? I do because especially with the tricks, like you want your characters, you want your players to have access to the trick list, if you will, right? And know that they can do all this stuff, because this is what's going to make combat interesting and fun for them and let them pull off stuff. But also, you don't want to slow it down with every round going like, let me look through the list and see what I can do this time. Like you want them to, you want to see how well people start picking up, like, these are the things I do, this is my style. Like, are there specific sets of tricks that would like, kind of make up a style? I kind of would dig if that is the case. I mean, again, I do love the general idea of it. It's not a complaint, it's just a concern, that I would need to experience it to see if that concern is valid or not, and it may well not be. But I do love the concept that this allows each player to run their combat the way they want to run it, right? Like the player who wants to be like two players getting 3 hits each, right? Could use their my lights just changed. Let me can I adjust that? Where's my phone? Here we go. Let me adjust that because I don't like the green tint that it's doing right now. Go to fall. There we go. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's too bright. Lower the brightness on that just a little bit. There we go. And while I'm at it, turn on some of the background lights. Okay, cool. There we go. All right, back to this. So two players, both rolling the same kind of attack roll, both get enough hits. They get 3 extra hits to buy 3 hits worth of tricks in their attack rolls, right? And one of them could choose to go like, we are an extra damage family here. I spend my 3 hits on critical and I do extra damage. While another one with the same roll could choose to go like, well, no, actually, I want to spend 2 hits to get their attention. Now they're focused on me, so they won't attack anyone else, and spend the last hit on a distraction, so they're going to have a +1 difficulty on their attacks while they're attacking me, which is cool. Like that's a completely separate thing. And meanwhile, a third character might go like, I'm actually going to spend all 3 of my hits on a feint that is then going to give a +3 enhancement to the next person to stab this guy, to have him distracted and hit him while he's distracted by my feint. So again, 3 completely separate combat actions or paths you can choose, or ways you can choose to act during combat, all with the exact same role. Yeah, big fan of that. I like that in general. Let's see. Arbalest, you like those systems? I remember the first one like that I saw was Dragon Age RPG. Combat flowed. You got action points you could spend to do special stuff if you could. Exactly. So this has a little bit of that. The only reason I'm worried is because World of Darkness combat has traditionally not exactly been the smoothest flowing thing. It usually does tend to drag games to a grinding halt while it goes through. So that's why I'm worried. But I like what I see here. And honestly, this whole kind of point economy, action economy kind of thing, success economy even, is one of the things that I like about DC-20. Whenever we get to that, that's the one that in my heart is going to replace I think D&D, and it's got some of this too. It's still a D20 system, but the better you roll on that D20, the more kind of hits you're going to get as well, and you're going to be able to do stuff like this. Also, you have an action point economy. You have like 4 actions points per round, and you can spend those action points to do stuff like this. Like I really, a lot of the things that I love about DC-20 are some of the things that I'm loving about this. So I'm excited to that. I like tying it to crits because crits should be felt. Sometimes extra damage is just bad, but tripping, dismembering, or some other random effect has more oomph. Exactly. And this is basically tying it to these extra hits. So like the more successes you have, it lets you do more stuff. It makes those extra successes feel crunchy, feel like you got an effect, like that good roll was worth it because I have all these hits that I can do stuff with. And that's dope as fuck. I love that. That gets a big wow overall from me. And on that wow super happy note, it's ad time. Enjoy that. Be right back. And we're back. Why? Why does it do that? Why does it turn it on when I switch to this screen? I do not understand why it does that. But I'll throw a full one now. Since it's gonna do the sound, it might as well get the full one. Curse you all! There we go. Anyway, curse you all indeed, folks. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this system. I'm liking what I'm seeing overall. And Psychotic Potato, yes, indeed. The combat being one roll is good. Because I've also seen that so many times where like, I attack with my blood axe. Ah! And it's like, all right, well, you've got strength 5, you've got melee 5. The blood axe gives you another +5 dice on the thing, and also you have celerity and potence and just fuck the world at level 5. So roll that, and it's like roll bucket of dice, and then you spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this is a 1. Oh. Anyway, you do the math, and you're like, I have 58 successes on that hit. It's like, solid fucking hit. Roll your 58 dice for damage. Roll slightly smaller bucket. One success. Cool. So you wind up, you perform the greatest, most amazing hit known to man. Who were you attacking, by the way? I was attacking the skinny one. Yes, right, the skinny one, the weak one, the mook, you say. The mook has, let me check my notes here, 2 health levels. They're supposed to fall like wheat before the scythe of the player characters. Is a note that I made here for this mook. Two health levels. You did how much again? 1. With how many dice? 58. Right. So you hit this mook, the skinny one, with your entire fucking might. Everything you've got. Lightning crashes. The skies split. Fucking like Emperor's hockey lightning. Okay? The mook is injured. The mook still stands. Now it's the mook's turn. No. Like, if you roll really well, you should be able to absolutely just, atomize whatever you're aiming at. I like the fact, okay, when they said that it was meant to be like the combat and the action system was really action adventure-y, great. I think they really are hitting the action adventure vibe, which is dope as fuck. I like that overall. My only concern with the low damage is that there's a point. I don't like it when combat is over in a single round necessarily. I feel like a volley system where there are at least like 3 or 4 rounds before an engagement is decided is works better for anything that is like, if it's worth a fight, it's worth fighting for like 3 to 4 rounds at least. This is the way I look at it. But also, any round that goes beyond like any combat that goes beyond like 6, maybe 8 rounds, that's not a combat anymore. That's a war game. That's a slog. Like, that's not what I signed up for. Like, it might be for other people, and I get it. It can be fun. All right, it is. I'm not saying that's not fun. It can be fun. A good, long, tactical, hard-fought combat can be fucking amazing. But you can do that in a compact number of rounds, especially with a system that is more flexible than the standard D&D. I move and I attack next round. Combat system, right, where you have more flexibility and more stuff to do. So I worry that with the damage being so low and characters being able to kind of tank so much of it, are mooks gonna be low damage enough that the characters can easily knock them out, or is our combat's going to be just a standard just slugfest? I did 1 damage to you, now you did 1 damage to me, now next round I did 1 damage to you and you did 1 damage to me, and we just keep going till one of us falls down, or are there going to be more things? Like, I need to see in practice how well applying these tricks and everything might let me turn what would otherwise, if we're just slapping each other across the face until one of us falls down, what would otherwise be like a 7 or 8 round combat. What is my capacity for ending that combat in 3 to 4 rounds at most, one way or another, with the tricks, right, and standard attacks and stuff. And of course, characters cursed are going to have their own special magical powers and items that are, of course, going to change the flow of combat and affect things. Of course, of course. But given just sort of the basic, like, you are a person and you might have a gun or a bat or a knife and you're going to beat the fuck out of another person who may also have a gun or a bat or a knife, or not. It doesn't matter, apparently, because a bullet and a fist do the same amount of damage. That feels weird, right? That feels a little. I mean, I like the cinematic aspect of it, but that feels a little weird. It feels weird that weapons don't have specific things, at least not yet. I think we might be we might get the more soon as we run across the weapons section. We'll see, but we haven't seen that anymore. Let's see, how many health levels do mooks have, or have we got? So we haven't seen that yet. Adversaries, I think, was the last thing that was just released, and we haven't really seen stats for them. Oop, I went too far. So we'll see. Because if I say, like, all right, if mooks have like 2 to 3 health at most, then yeah, they can get taken down in 3 to 4 rounds, or even 1 round with some critical hits, 1 or 2 rounds with some criticals. So I mean, again, I would need to see how combat flows, how well the dice, how many hits on average you're getting, etc., etc., just to get a feel for the combat. And how it goes, because I think if they can hit that sweet spot of like 3 to 4 interesting action-packed rounds, that to me is the perfect combat. Like, you have like 2 of those a session, and the rest is exploration, puzzle solving, role playing, shopping, flirting, monster fucking, whatever, right? But like 2 like solid, like interesting 3 to 4 round combats in an average 3 to 4 hour gaming session feels like a good flow. Like, there's some action, some fights. Again, we're going by, even though you're playing for 3 hours, the amount of action that generally tends to happen should be something along the lines of what you would get in your average TV episode. I think that's how I like to think of a gaming session. I like to fit more or less what you would get in a standard 30-minute, 24 with ads minute episode of standard television into an average 3-hour game. And in those 3-hour games, yeah, 2 combats that would probably take about 20 to 30 minutes each to resolve. Hell, I could even see a 3rd combat in there going. But like, usually like 2 combats at most is good for an hour. Like, look at Supernatural, look at shows like those, and how many fights do the guys get into? They're usually like 2 to 3 per episode, on your average kind of monster hunt thing. So like, there's a pattern here. There's a pattern here for a reason, right? All right. Then again, with some groups you barely get through 1 encounter, and again, also some games are just going to slow it down. So this is why I'm saying, like, the game matters. The system does matter. Let's not get into that whole conversation. But my answer to does system matter is yes, it does. Different systems achieve different effects and are able to tell different stories to different effect. Certain systems are better at telling certain kinds of stories and achieving certain emotions and approaches within their players. That's it. Period. You can't. That's impossible to deny. System does matter. Now, system alone does not a game make, right? You might have a great system and a shitty game, and you might have a great game with a shitty system, right? These 2 things are related, but not absolutely tied to one another. One does not necessarily imply or cause the other. They work together. In this case, I like the setting, and so far, definitely liking the system. I'm looking forward to more information. The weapons thing feels weird. But everything else I'm liking. Now, how much time do we have? Let's see. We got 20 minutes at most. Oh, we got 15 minutes before I have to wrap up for today. So let's say a quick look. Let's start with investigation. We made it through most of this document today, honestly. Not too shabby, but also tomorrow is all we have. So tomorrow I gotta make it through like 3 more documents in addition to finishing this one. Oh, tomorrow is gonna be wild. Tomorrow we're just going to fucking power through everything. I'm just gonna be like, there's your document. Next. So that'll be fun. Anyway, let's look at the investigation system real quick. So we're gonna need to hop, skip, and jump to get to move. So I'm gonna skip the fiction and go here. From trying to understand a strange map to investigating a murder, characters in Curseborne may engage in intense investigation scenes. Investigations are the discovery of a series of leads and supporting evidence that eventually resolve into a big reveal as to the answer to whatever was being investigated. Okay, let's look in. So leads. Character gain leads to start and progress an investigation. This is the core of the mystery and is vital for the characters to know about to begin any investigation. Characters must take an action to find the lead using any appropriate skill for how they go about their investigation at a difficulty of 0. Some leads might require a certain skill to uncover. A good example of this is leads gained from examining the corpse of a victim. Characters with a medicine or science skill are more likely to find such leads. Characters that don't have such skills might need to use a different skill, difficulty 1, to find a lead, or they may not be able to take such an action at all at story guide discretion. Cool. I get that. Pretty much standard. Use the skills you have for an investigation. If you get any successes, again, no difficulty 0, just rolling. Any successes at all, you get leads on your investigation. Places to start with, clues. Leads come with complications. Interesting. These are snags that make the overall investigation more interesting and difficult, but don't prevent the investigator from finding the vital lead to progress the investigation. Think of other mystery movies. The detective will inevitably find the murder weapon, but they might do so at the risk of being discovered by the police or the murderer, or their act might cause some criminal toughs to kick down the door and start firing. Finding a lead should be interesting. If it isn't, and there's simply no complication that makes sense in the moment, it's better to simply give the player the lead without even having them roll. I like that. You should only roll if there's a point to it, if there's a chance that things are dangerous. So there are no lead rolls that come without complications. I kind of dig that. But also, okay, here's a few sample ones, but also I think the story guide section is going to need to give us a lot of examples. This is one of those things. Designing mysteries and designing investigations is hard. It's difficult. So I am cautiously optimistic and hopeful that we will get some decent guidance on building a mystery, if you will. Because that is always one of the more difficult parts. And even if all you get is a lot of examples, sometimes it's all you need. A bunch of examples that you can grab and mix and match with. So here are a few example complications for investigations. Some minor complications: someone notices your investigation, takes an interest, or you destroy an associated evidence during your investigation. A moderate complication: the lead you find is incomplete and might direct you to a false trail, or the person you are investigating learns about your activities. Or a major: authorities get suspicious of your activities, or you anger someone important during your investigation and now they want revenge. So for example, Kathy is following the trail of a missing artifact. She arrives at an abandoned dock where her contact told her they heard suspicious sounds the night before. When she arrives, her story guide tells her to roll her pilot plus cunning, with a minor complication that listless vagrants will attempt to harass her for lingering too long in the docks if she doesn't buy it off. Since the roll is a difficulty 0, she recognizes signs that a ship was docked here recently and gets 2 hits. She spent 1 to buy off the complication and has 1 hit left to spend on tricks. I like that. Pretty straightforward. This is how you investigate. This is the complication that's going to happen. Yeah. Overall, I dig what's happening here. Interrogation. So sometimes a clue is something that a story guide character, SGC, instead of NPC, SGC knows. I mean, this hasn't been explained anywhere. I'm just using my brain because I'm so smart to figure out what an SGC means. Now it actually means sub-gamma quotient or something. Anyway, which means they must be interrogated before the lead can be uncovered. If the SGC is a positive attitude, it's just like any other investigative action to uncover a lead. However, if they are neutral or have a negative attitude, the player characters have a chance to influence their attitude. The player takes an influence action using the skill most appropriate to how they are convincing or cajoling the SGC at a difficulty based on their integrity. Remember that if they have a negative attitude, the acting character suffers +1 difficulty to their influence action. The degree of success determines the level of complication to the investigation action to uncover the lead. Oh, success with or without consequences is a minor complication. Failure is a moderate complication. Disaster is a major complication. If the complication is not bought off, the SGC won't answer any further questions, cutting off any avenue to gather additional evidence. Depending on the situation, there might be additional consequences, such as the SGC attacking the investigator or calling in friends for support. Okay, wait. So, if you're trying to interrogate someone, so they are either neutral or negative against you, the first thing you have to do is an influence action. You have a chance to influence that attitude using the skill most appropriate to how you're convincing or cajoling the SGC. Okay, makes sense. Tell me how you're influencing them, what you're doing. And depending on the results of that roll, that tells you the level of complication that you're going to need to get on then the investigation. So first you interrogate. The interrogation is to see how complicated, how the level of the complication for the standard investigation action that you would then roll. Except in this case, unless you can overcome that complication, that's what you have to overcome with your investigation roll to get that information from that NPC. All right, cool. I get that. Makes sense. Degree of success determines. Okay, so we all saw that. I don't know. Investigative tricks. So then any extra or tricks. So you can get extra evidence by spending a hit. Cool. Question and answer. So each hit allows you to ask the story guide a question about the lead you were researching. The story guide may suggest appropriate questions. You may ask one related specifically to how you're gathering information. And a perfect specimen for one hit, the evidence your character gains has an additional tag of your choice. Cool. I like that. Or unexpected lead for a full 3 hits. Your character puts evidence together in a way that brings her one step closer to solving the mystery. Gain a new lead immediately. Cool. Interesting. An interesting system so far. Evidence and tricks. So pieces of evidence are associated clues to support the lead, give more insight into the story, or reveal character motivations, but are ultimately inessential to solving the main mystery. Evidence often translates to enhancement on actions to further investigate leads. So the more evidence you have, the easier the investigation becomes. As well as on the final action to solve a mystery. Players may spend momentum to purchase evidence, or take additional investigation actions after their initial one at difficulty 1 or higher. Success on this investigation action results in 1 piece of evidence. Interesting. So you do your initial investigation action, and if you do that, you gain a lead. You deal with the complication for that lead. And then, if you want, you can keep looking for evidence. Right? Players may spend momentum to purchase evidence, so you can either purchase evidence straight up with momentum or do additional actions, difficulty 1 or higher. Anything you get is more evidence that you can then use for lowering further investigation rolls in the final solving roll. Cool. Evidence gives player characters supporting information for a lead and allows them to piece together parts of the larger picture. Without evidence, characters can still follow leads to their inevitable end and solve a mystery, but evidence makes it easier, and without it, they might miss out on the flavor of the mystery, including the why, where, and how of much of the story. As such, players may want their characters to take actions to uncover evidence to get a better handle on the story and understand their leads better. The following are samples of actions the characters can take to discover leads and evidence. Okay, cool. Example rolls. Your research using a library or books, roll culture plus intellect. When you need to solve a puzzle or translate language, enigmas plus cunning. Let's go when you interrogate a suspect, leadership, persuasion plus cunning. When you hack into a computer, technology plus intellect. Cool. Clue tags. Clue tag is a tag that determines what kind of clue the evidence in question is. They determine what skill is needed to uncover the evidence, as well as limiting which skills the enhancement it provides can be applied to. Interesting. So some potential examples. And contacts as well here. Determine if the contact task can uncover that evidence because player characters might find it easier or more effective to ask one of their contacts to investigate a scene on their behalf. This is cool usage of your contact, and you can get these tags: academic tag, a cursed tag, bribe tag, evidence can only be purchased often as you see, data tag, forensic, gossip, All right, so quick example here. Following the leads from the docks, Kathy scouts the area, searching for any evidence of who was there. Spending the hit for extra evidence, the story guide tells her the sailors didn't leave any telltale markings that would identify them, but she does notice a fresh blood stain on the docks. He awards her one piece of evidence tagged forensic. She follows the trail of blood to see where it leads, adding +1 enhancement to her roll to determine any information she can about the blood. Cool. And then solving the mystery, in the words of Sarah McLachlan. Actually, no, building the mystery is Sarah McLachlan game. But anyway, solving the mystery. Investigation requires the characters to find a series of leads to solve the mystery. A story guide sets a few leads for the mystery based on its complexity and depth, then associates them with specific locations, scenes, or skills. Characters will always have a chance to roll for leads when they make it to the right location to find them. Characters may also bypass finding the lead physically by purchasing the unexpected lead trick. Cool. Once all the leads have been found, the characters have solved the mystery. The limiting factor in solving a mystery is the time it takes to find all the leads and arrive at a conclusion. So, so a simple mystery will require 3 leads, moderate 5, complex 7, major conspiracy 9. Cool. Influence. Okay, now this is, I was going to say, I tried to stop and fucking tried. Like, oh no, did they add a system that they don't want to add? No, that's fiction. Let's see. Well, how much time do we have? We have 5 minutes left. But influence now at this point, this is a whole new system at this point. Okay, because now we're talking about influence. This is investigation. So this is cool. I like the system. I'm not giving it a wow yet because until I see if the story guiding section has guidance for this, because this is a cool system, but it also seems I need some guidance. I need some guidance on how to design a mystery, not just with game, pre-game prep, but just in the moment, right? I think the game would definitely benefit from being providing a few examples and a guide on, okay, your players did something unexpected. They are somewhere where you did not expect them to be, and they are investigating something. How do you build a mystery in the moment? How do you create some clues, create stuff, give them something to investigate in the moment? I think that's the kind of guidance that I would love to see, because I do like the system itself. I do like what they're doing, but also because it is a system, there's just enough complication that, again, I think some guidance on, all right, how do you roll with this system? How do you go with it on a day-to-day as a story guide? How do I create these mysteries? How do I create these leads and give them proper evidence and clues, right? I hope that we see that in the story guide section. But with all that said, I'm going to leave it here at the influence section, because that's where we're going to start off tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and bring us to kind of the just my face screen. Here we go. Just my face for men. Hey, folks. Thanks so much for hanging out. It's 5:30, almost 5:30, 5:27 here in Casa Dan, and we've hung out a little bit later because we started a little later than normal. The sun is quickly going down because it's that time of year where the sun, we will not see the sun go down before, or rather after 6 p.m. until like March. We have crossed that line. Sunset is by 6 p.m. at the latest from this point forward. Later in the year, it'll probably be like around 4:30. Danny apaga el sol. You're right. Oh my God, that's one I haven't heard in fucking ages. But I'm working on it. It's going down. It's going down. It's going down. So, as always, folks, thanks so much for hanging out. We're gonna do this again tomorrow. We're back to our usual time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. As we, first of all, it'll be Halloween, so happy Halloween. Bring your costumes. I'll bring mine. And also, oh my God, she's so pretty. She's just there. She's just there, kind of doing the slow eye blink at me. I love my cat, folks. I love my cat. I'll be back tomorrow. Bring your costumes, and we are going to just go at it. We are gonna go wild, and we are going to dive into the remainder of the Curseborne documents. I mean, we got a really solid feel for the system. I really do want to take a closer look at the influence system, because that is actually really important. So we might not completely fly over influence, but then everything else, we're just gonna go real quick. Like, this looks cool, this looks cool, this looks stupid, this looks stupid, this is cool. What the fuck is this? And just because I want to finish this, man. All right, Curseborne month ends tomorrow, and after that we've got, I don't know, other month of other things. I have so many other games I want to talk about too as well, as much as I'm liking Curseborne. But I want to be done with it tomorrow. Also, tomorrow is, I think, when the Kickstarter ends. So, like, we'll be done. We'll be done. Either way, they're getting a lot of, so, man. I just talked about how I shouldn't be spending money. I don't want to admit how much money the Kickstarter for Curseborne is going to get from me tomorrow. Anyway, folks, thanks so much for hanging out. I will be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. As always, if you like what you see here, these are my socials. Please follow me on any of them for updates on what I'm up to. I am also part of a podcast, Fandible. Go ahead and check it out. It is fun. I don't know. I don't like actual plays. So go check those out. I will be back tomorrow. Here is, of course, my schedule. I'm pressing all the buttons today because it's the end of the stream and I like buttons. Thank you so much for hanging out. I will see you all, I certainly hope, tomorrow. Have yourselves a great time zone wherever you are.